From distant lands we gather, hearts of fire all along. Oh, big Nick, 'cause we follow through the storm and through the fight. For Valhalla we will borrow strength and might under moonlight. Warriors of the ancient sea, songs of glory dark and bold. In the night, our spirits free, legends born, tales unfold. Oh, big because we follow through the storm and through the fight. For Valhalla we will borrow strength and might under moonlight. From horizons wild we roam, with thunder in our soul. Every battle brings us home to the stories ages told. Oh, big Nick, 'cause we follow through the storm and through the fight. For Valhalla we will borrow strength and might under moonlight.
Heyo, folks. It is Friday, and we are here. We are here. I'm here. You're here. Almost everybody's here. First of all, this hasn't happened for a long time. Before the stream even starts. Kelly, $5 super chat. Hi, Nick. Have a great day. You have the most best day. The most best day, Kelly. You have the most best day this Friday. Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank Walter, Gwendolyn, Fun Size, I'm Shout, Gigi, and all the others at YouTube. Hello, you guys over at Rumble, and hello, you over at X. Yes, streaming on 3 platforms. Whew. Well, yesterday we watched day 1 and half of day 2. We watched the hearing about suppression of some evidence, and I might not agree fully with Judge Boyd on that one. But I mean, we've been watching so much of Judge Boyd that she does have reasons. She has to have. And the defense also asked, we need your decision in writing with case law. So, which is good for appellate reasons. Hold on. Sorry, I had to sneeze. Okay, so today we are going through the rest of day 2 and hopefully the entirety of day 3, which means we will catch up eventually. We will catch up with this trial, and I haven't seen it, so everything is new for me in this trial. And so if you are actively watching the trial, please no spoilers, because some or even most of my audience haven't seen it either. They are waiting for me to start. So if you wouldn't mind to yeah. Okay, but let's see here. Dun dun dun. There. Boom boom boom. And I'm placing myself up here, which makes jingles cover some. Oh, hold on. Can I? Dun dun dun. There. Save. There. Now you can still see, maybe not if they stand up. Maybe I should take myself in that corner. No, then you cover up as well. Or like that. Let's do like that. For now at least. For now at least. All right. Let's go right ahead. And oh, hi Lolita's Minds. Cool, a Texas trial. Never seen a trials in my area. Well, we are about to now. We are about to now. Let me just put that up here. There. All right. Playing in 1.25 speed. And remember, folks, this is a commentary channel. I will sometimes pause and comment.
It's for the jury?
You remember the instruction?
About the bathroom.
Oh, no, I wouldn't.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there was something that neither party spoke to you during voir dire, and I did not speak to you as well. During voir dire, that is the only time that the prosecutors or the defense can speak to you. So if they see you anywhere else and they don't smile at you, or you say hello to them and they don't say hello back to you, it's not that they're being mean or rude. It's just that they are not allowed to communicate with you during the duration of this trial. Does everyone understand? All right, thank you. All right, State, call your next witness, please.
State calls Elizabeth Adams.
Elizabeth Adams. All right. I have no idea who you are. Let's see. State's witness.
Yeah.
Boom.
Right, could you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so that members of the jury can hear. If you could state your name and spell your last name for the record, please.
Elizabeth Adams, Adams.
All right, State, you may proceed.
Thank you. Ms. Adams, how old are you currently?
I'm 49.
And do you currently live in San Antonio, Texas?
I do not.
Okay. Where do you live?
I live just north of Houston.
Okay. And did you formerly live in San Antonio?
I did. Mhm.
Were you born in San Antonio, Texas?
Actually, no, I was born in Houston and then we moved and then I moved back in 04.
Okay. Did you attend high school in San Antonio, Texas?
I did.
What high school is that?
Theodore Roosevelt.
Thank you. And are you employed currently?
Yes, I'm self-employed. I'm a real estate agent.
Okay. Now I want to talk to you about April 23rd, 2017. Do you recall what you were doing that day?
I do.
And were you in San Antonio, Texas on that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Why were you in San Antonio, Texas?
I was visiting my husband. He is a director of maintenance for an aviation company, and he would sometimes spend a week on, a week off here babysitting airplanes. And it just so happened that that was the weekend that
Babysitting airplanes? Did she just say that?
a director of maintenance for an aviation company, and he would sometimes spend a week on, a week off here babysitting airplanes. And it just so happened that that was the
Okay.
weekend that was my
Folks, there is a career now with babysitting airplanes. I did not know that. I would change my career in an instant in babysitting airplanes.
last weekend to be with him, and then I was going home and he was staying, and he was staying at the DoubleTree. So we were just saying goodbye to each other, and I was going on my way.
Okay. And when you say he was staying at the DoubleTree, was that the DoubleTree located on McCullough and the access road of 410?
Yes, facing North Star Mall. Mhm.
And is that located in Bexar County, Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And at some point, did you end up in the parking lot of that DoubleTree hotel?
Yes, I was just getting ready to leave. We had loaded up my car, and I was turning around to give him a hug and a kiss, and just bidding our farewells for the week. And I was just getting ready to get in my car when it all happened.
Okay. And so when you said you were getting ready to give your husband a hug, and you referred to when everything happened, what direction were you facing?
When I gave him a hug, my back was to the mall.
Okay.
And I was distracted by a noise that was behind me, and it was like screeching. It sounded, it was a car. And that's when I turned around and noticed that there was this car, a black little car, was like braking, was going, braking, stopping. And it just looked chaotic for a second. And so it caught my attention.
And so when you turn around, that means that you are facing towards 410, looking towards
At that
410.
point, I am facing the mall.
All right. And regarding this black four-door vehicle, you said you heard, you said it sounded chaotic. Is that how you described it?
Yes,
All right.
yes,
And so did you take a look at that motor vehicle?
I did.
And can you please explain to the three what you observed?
Again, the car was stopping and going in very short succession, just quick, and so it was like bouncing. And then, at first I didn't think anything of it. We just giggled. The Spurs game, there was a Spurs game happening. Fiesta was just winding up. So I just thought it was, somebody having a good time. We didn't think anything of it until I noticed that the car was stopped, but it was bouncing. And so I looked closer and I told my husband, I said, I don't think they're kidding anymore. Looks like they're beating up the guy in the middle of the back seat. And so
From the mall to the road, you managed to see. Was this a glass car? I mean, it's a black Kia. How do you see somebody get beaten up? Especially the middle guy. How do you see that in the car?
being nosy, I just stood there watching and I just couldn't, we really just couldn't really understand what was happening until the door swung open and somebody was yelling, help me. And then the door would slam and then the door would open again and you would hear them screaming. And then I heard, don't shoot him.
Objection, hearsay, confrontation.
All right, if you lay the foundation.
Well, Judge, I think it's is it? Well, okay. And so when you heard that statement that you just said, without repeating it, what was the demeanor of the people that were inside of the car?
They were still hitting him.
Okay. And so was it like a high stress situation?
Yes.
Okay. And you described it as chaotic?
Yes.
Okay. And so then what did you hear?
I heard that and it frightened me because when I looked closer, I noticed that the passenger in the front was wearing a white shirt, was holding a gun. And that's when we backed up a little.
Honor,
We took a
since we-
couple of steps back.
Progressed from that issue to what's been visually observed. I just renew my objection. If they're abandoning trying to lay the foundation, I'd ask for instructions since
All
part
right,
of the
then
answer was given.
That will be sustained. You're to disregard what was said.
Motion for mistrial.
Denied.
All right.
And that would be motion for mistrial number 4. Motion for mistrial number 4. Oh, wait, what's going on here? Why is this changed? There. So motion for mistrial number 4. And we are on afternoon day 2.
And so you said, who were you able to get the best look at in that black motor vehicle?
The person in the front seat that was holding the gun
Okay. And you said what color shirt was that person wearing?
was wearing a white t-shirt.
Okay. And you had previously described this person as a Hispanic male. Is that correct?
Yes. But again, the car was just moving. It was bouncing. So everybody just looked brown to me.
Okay. And so when you describe the front passenger seat, I guess as far as the person that was in the front passenger seat skin tone, would you be able to describe their skin tone and their tone of hair?
Yes, they were. It seemed to be, if I said they were Hispanic, it was like they were darker, a little bit darker, and they had dark cropped hair.
Okay. And regarding that front passenger, were you able to tell anything about their size?
Let's.
The person that was in the front passenger seat skin tone, would you be able to describe their skin tone and their tone of hair?
Yes, they were. It seemed to be, if I said they were Hispanic, it was like they were darker, a little bit darker, and they had dark cropped hair.
Okay. And regarding that front passenger, were you able to tell anything about their size?
Yes. The way that they were sitting, it's like their head was not It didn't go too far past the headrest
Okay.
and seemed to be very, very skinny, just very thin. Very,
This is inside a car, folks, and it is a bit away. How? I mean, now there are some probability that someone in the car in front of this saw something of the likes, but everybody witnessing this being able to almost perfectly describe everybody in the car and what went on in the car. I
a smaller stature. And so,
All right. And you said that front passenger that was wearing the white shirt did have a handgun in his hand, is that correct?
he did.
And did you see him do anything with the handgun?
Yes, it was the way he was pointing it. And he looked,
how the frick? Folks, yeah. Dave says, see, what you need to understand about America is that we're able to spot race like Superman looking through a wall. And Judy says, 5 p.m. in April in Texas, and everybody sees everything going on in that car. Folks, a reminder, this took literal seconds, the entire event. From when at the red lights over to the Chick-fil-A, stomping on the windshield, get shot. We are talking about a minute tops, the entire event. And the fight is
he just looked nervous, but just kept going back and forth.
Okay.
you are on the other side of the road at a mall, and you can describe a man in the passenger seat looking nervous. What's going on here?
Holding it.
And so I guess you were using your right hand. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And did that passenger have the firearm in their right hand?
Yes.
Okay. The person that was in the back, well, I guess, did you observe that front passenger doing anything in the back seat?
No, he stayed in the front seat the entire time.
Did you observe him turn around?
Yes,
or-
he was like turning around. It's almost like he was
Your Honor.
turning around to find the best
Excuse me.
position.
So, whenever an attorney makes an objection, I just need you to stop speaking because I need to rule on their objection that they made, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
No problem. All right, ask your next question.
May I have a ruling, Your Honor?
The objection is overruled.
All right. So you stated the front passenger, he stayed in the front passenger seat. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Physically, is that what you mean?
Okay. So when I say that he's staying in the front seat, it means that he didn't jump to the back. That's what I mean by that. But there was a lot of movement in the front seat when he was holding the gun. So
Okay.
it was like he was just trying to find a better way to do whatever it is that he intended in doing.
All right. Did you see the front passenger interact with that person that was being beat up in the back seat?
Yes, because he turned around to look at him.
Okay. Did he ever point the firearm at him?
I don't
Objection
recall that
leading, Your
part.
Honor.
Overruled.
And withdraw.
You don't recall.
Pointing at him, no.
Okay.
He
What
just
hap-
had it up the entire time.
Okay. What happened with the person?
Okay, so this witness is the people in the car said that he actively went like this to the back seat. Now, if she is describing everything this detailed with this, I mean, she must have had binoculars, and she says no, he never. No, he held it up like this all the time.
That was in the back seat that was being beat up on.
Okay. So as I said, the car door kept opening and closing, opening and closing. At one point, he jumped out of the car, and then I want to say he jumped back in, and then he jumped out of the car again and jumped on the hood of the car and was holding on.
So he's in the middle seat, and so he jumps out of the. First of all, he gets to the car door, open, closes, open, closes. I can buy that. But how, if they are actively trying to keep him in the car by fighting him and everything, why? Yeah. Why? I mean, this is so strange. Yeah, as Dave said, the defense attorney gave a great opening statement and said, listen to the testimony because all of these people have an interest and a potential bias to see the defendant convicted. Yeah. Because this sounds ridiculous, folks. To me, you tell me if I'm wrong. You tell me if you find all of this absolutely spot on credible. That everybody sees this much detail.
It is at that point that the car took off.
Okay, did you see what direction the car took off in?
Well, they remained on the access road and you could hear them squeal off. And it's like they went right into the next parking lot because I could hear it. It's right here next. It was like next to us.
All right. And then after you hear it screech off, did you hear anything else?
Yes, I heard 3 gunshots.
And then what did you do at that time?
I was calling 911.
All right. Your Honor, permission to publish Exhibit 8, which was entered yesterday.
Yes, granted.
The top dog, wait till you keep going. I've kept up with this trial every day and it's ridiculous. Okay. That's not a spoil. This is good commentary in the chat. Just as don't go into detail about what's going to happen because it's good for us to anticipate.
Please, and probably EMS, I don't know. Somebody just got, I think somebody just got shot. They're right here in the Best Buy parking lot on 410.
We're at 410.
And San Pedro, like McCullough, like right after the McCullough exit. We could see them fighting in the car. He kept telling somebody, help me, help me. And they had a gun on him and they were trying to get him out of the car. I don't know what was going on because I'm sitting in my car, kicking me. But I think they shot him or they fired shots or something. And they're right there.
She's in her car. She says, listen to that.
Help me. And they had a gun on him and they were trying to get him out of the car. I don't know what was going on because I'm sitting in my car, kicking me. But I think they shot him or they fired shots or something. And they're right there in the parking lot.
Did you hear shots?
What?
Did you hear any gunshots?
Yes. Right in the front seat. It was a Ford, it was a black Ford.
Is it still there?
I don't know. I'm in one parking lot and they went into the other. Right after the McCullough exit, where Doubletree is, there's like the parking lot next to that.
You said it was a Ford?
Yes.
Blue?
I'm sorry?
What color was it? Blue?
No, it was black.
Black?
Yeah. There's 2 male passengers in the front, and there were like 2 or 3 male passengers in the back seat. It was a car full of guys.
Okay, and it's 410 where?
410 and right after the McCullough exit. It was directly across from North Star, right after the Doubletree Hotel by Hilton.
Okay, I'm trying to find it from where you're at. So we're there 410 McCullough.
Yes. In the Con parking lot, right there,
What was the name of the store that has in front of?
What was the name of the what?
What was the name of the store that has in front of?
Right here in front of the Doubletree by Hilton.
Okay.
Right here at the intersection of McCullough and right here on the highway.
Did you hear this person yelling for help?
Sorry?
Did you hear the person yelling for help?
Yeah, I heard him yelling for help. It was very funny. I thought like they were shitting. And he was like, they're like, no, get the fuck out of the car, get the fuck out of the car. He's like, no. And then all of a sudden he's like, somebody help me. And then he's like, don't shoot him here. They said, don't shoot him in here. And then when I looked, I saw, because at first I thought they were joking, but then I looked and sure enough, the guy in the front seat had a gun and he was pointing it at the guy. And he's like, no. And then he jumped on the hood and he rode on the hood of the car all the way on the access road, and then they pulled into the Best Buy or Con parking lot, whatever, the next parking lot over, and then I heard the gunshot.
Yeah, okay, I have it.
Okay.
Just because it's been called in. You're
Okay.
on it now. Do you have any other information on it?
No, that's it. Just know that it was a little black four-door car and a bunch of car full of boys in there, and I don't know what the story was, but,
You want to leave your name?
sure, Elizabeth Adams.
And your phone number is at 83.
Presentation of the 911 call that you made on that day?
Mhm.
Sorry,
Yes.
yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. And regarding the passenger that exited the backseat of that black vehicle and got on top of the hood of the car, did you, based on the observations that you made, did you perceive that he wanted to get out of the car, or what did you perceive was going on?
I got the impression that he just did not want to give his car up. It kind of seemed like, but he wanted to get out, but he wanted his
Your
car.
Honor, speculation.
Sustained.
Ask the jury to disregard that answer.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're to disregard the last answer.
Motion for mistrial.
Denied.
We passed the witness, Your Honor.
All right, defense.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I mean, okay, I understand motions for mistrial when it's warranted. If they are going to ask mistrial every time they get an objection sustained, this is going to get really, really ridiculous. Because this is motion for mistrial number 5. And we are on afternoon of day 2.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Just a few questions for you. You didn't actually see someone firing a gun, correct?
Nope.
And you said you were at the DoubleTree?
Yeah, she saw all of that, everything she described, but she did not see somebody fire the gun.
Yes.
And you were standing out in front of the building, or were you in your vehicle?
On the side, there's a parking lot, and my car was parked there, and I was going to get in, but hadn't done that yet.
Okay, were you right beside your car?
Yes.
All right. If you could give us a sense, how many feet from where you were standing to where you saw the vehicle?
Let's see. It's like from here, let's just say from here to way before that wall. So it was close. It was a lot closer. Maybe behind you guys. That the divider.
The bar that divides the gallery from the well, that would be
Maybe.
kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
You
that's 20
indicated
feet,
that
25
on the
feet.
call, we heard you say that all the people in the vehicle were Hispanic, right? You heard that on the recording?
Yes.
So
That's
when you were being questioned by the prosecutor about it, you also mentioned that you had indicated that you believe they were all Hispanic. You also said something like the car was moving and all I saw was that the car looked brown to me. Do you recall testifying to that a moment ago?
no, the car is black. I
I
said
think what you probably meant was that the people in the car all look brown to you. Is that what you meant?
yes.
Okay.
Interesting. This is the same witness who claims that she saw good enough that the person with the gun looked anxious and worried. So you saw that, but not that the kid was black. Okay.
You seem to have some hesitancy when she asked the question. Have you met with the prosecutors in anticipation of your testimony in this case?
Yes.
About how long ago?
I mean, just before trial.
Did they ask you if there were any African Americans in the car?
Yes, but I think that was like a while back, like when all of this started to finally come to trial.
Okay, thank you. You indicated that the Hispanic person that you saw in the front seat of the car had cropped hair, short hair, right?
Mhm.
Okay. You indicated that the person did have a pistol, but you saw that the pistol's barrel was pointed at the ceiling of the vehicle at all times that you saw it, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough. You heard some things that people were saying, but you didn't hear everything that was being said inside of the car, right?
Correct.
Windows of the car were all rolled up as far as you could tell?
Yes.
All right. And at one point you indicated that you weren't sure if they were kidding or if this was a fight until you watched it a little longer.
Right.
And may I approach the reporter for a moment?
Yes.
Oh, it's right here.
One moment, Your Honor.
Yeah, she said on direct that someone's telling him to get out of the car. Welcome to the mistrial chat. Yeah, we
Your
have
permission to publish stakes 3. I don't know if we can.
folks. We have as many motions for
And no
mistrial
objection.
as we
I'm
have
sorry,
sidebars.
Sorry,
it's
you're-
admitted.
Thank
It's
you.
already in evidence. And so just so the attorneys are aware, if something is already into evidence, there's no need to request the court whether or not you can publish it.
Yes, Your Honor, I apologize. Old habits die hard.
No, no problem.
Ma'am, I'm going to show you what's been admitted into evidence as State's Exhibit 3. If I were to tell you that this building right here where my finger is pointed is the Chick-fil-A over in this general vicinity, can you give us a sense of where on the map the DoubleTree is?
I'm assuming this is the DoubleTree. Is that,
Let me approach you so I can see what you're pointing to, and then I can confirm with you.
I found, let me see. Well, wait, I guess this is the DoubleTree because that looks like the hotel.
Okay, okay, so
Mhm.
I'm correct. You're saying you think that this is the DoubleTree?
Mhm.
This may be a different hotel. It was renamed. Okay, so this is the hotel you believe that you were out in front of?
Mhm.
Okay, so you're talking about the altercation having taken place somewhere in where these cars are here?
Mhm.
Okay, but did you actually see the car go into the Chick-fil-A parking lot?
No, because I want to say there was like a car or something here. I don't know. Something was here
Okay,
because I didn't. And we were scared. I stepped back and I just was focusing on grabbing my phone at that point when he took off on the hood, I believe is right when I was like, this is crazy. I've got to call this in. This is nuts.
okay, but you called in after you heard the gunshots.
Yes, I guess.
Okay, because you talk about gunfire in your 911 call, right?
Mhm. Well, you got to wait. They don't answer right away. I was waiting for a second and everything's transpiring as it's going.
Yes, ma'am. I'm just trying to get a sense of the timing. I'm just understand. Could you give us a sense where your car was parked, if you could guess? I mean, I don't want you to guess, but approximately where in this parking lot would your car have been parked in relationship to the roadway?
I want to say that, I don't know if you can hear me. Okay. So it was probably like around like right here because I was very much in line with about the third car like this. This is,
Okay.
yeah. And so
Okay.
And
it was
excuse
about
me,
right here.
if you need to step into the well, if it's easier for her to point off on the equipment there,
I was just
you
going
can
to
have
point
her, no,
forward
no, no,
and see
yeah,
if
you can
she
have her
agreed.
step down. You can step down and use that screen because I don't believe the equipment is working on that screen for you to point and mark. So if you all would like, and if it would be easier for the jurors to see, if you want to step down and use that, you
Come on
can.
down. Just please point to where you were pointing on your monitor.
So I was.
I'm sorry, make sure you keep your voice up because the jurors still need to hear.
Okay. I was in one of these parking spaces here,
Okay.
right here, because I was like almost in line with this third, like a third car back. I remember that very vividly.
Okay. So to be clear, your car was not parked in those parking spaces that are directly facing the oncoming traffic. It would have been the next
Right
row
here.
of cars, or maybe the row after that.
This one.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Are you done with the camera?
Yes, I'm done with the camera. Thank you. And you testified that you saw a bunch of guys in the car.
Yes.
You didn't see any women in the car.
No.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
No further questions and
Alright.
excused by state.
Excuse my defense.
All right, the rule has been invoked. That means that you're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone while this trial is proceeding. All right, and just make sure you remove the microphones.
Yeah, it's becoming apparent after the opening statement that the defense is going to argue a lot about these are people who claim to have seen everything in so much detail, so much detail, and still they see different things. They see he's hitting back with the gun. No, he's having the gun up all the time. Everybody in the car is brown. the discrepancy between the witnesses will probably be the defense biggest argument here. And we still haven't got to the co-defendant snitches and all their stories, which there are three other people in the car, and it seems like they are all squealing and pointing fingers at JK. This will be interesting.
Yes, okay, thank you. And excuse me, this is an exhibit, if you'll give that to Cindy. And state, call your next witness.
The state calls Officer Sandra Lopez.
Officer Sandra Lopez. If this was in Fulton County Court, they would still be on the first witness. But Judge Boyd, she is running a tight ship. That is one of the things I really, really like about her. Don't you waste her time. Don't you ever waste her time.
Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you
Top dog, Tay-K also didn't have a gun during his first case. He didn't deserve 55 years. I have no idea about that first case. I will look into it this weekend. If you can, email me the links and stuff you have at this address, which I just posted in the YouTube comment section. Yeah, you can also find it on my channel. But Top Dog, send me all you got, and I will look into it this weekend, the first case, and we will see if I agree with you. Thank you. Thank you for your comment.
solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so that the jurors can hear. And if you could state your name and spell your last name for the record, please.
And it's Sandra Lopez, Lopez.
All right, state, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Officer Lopez, actually, back in 2017, what was your full name at that time?
Yes, it was Sandra Chapa.
So subsequently, then you've been married.
Did she say Sandra Chapa? Or am I hearing wrong? Or am I saying something me as the whitest man on the planet should not say? I don't know. Let's just move on.
And change your last name, is that correct?
Correct.
And is it Officer Lopez?
Detective.
Detective Lopez,
Yes, sir.
thank you. Can you go ahead and just briefly, one, who do you work for currently?
The San Antonio Police Department.
And how long have you worked for the San Antonio Police Department?
Going on 9 years.
And can you please just briefly tell the jury training that you had to go through to become a San Antonio police officer?
Yeah, so to the academy, we did academic training, physical fitness training, firearms training, driving courses to obtain our police officer's license.
And then I guess that's just to become a police officer, but then as you are hired for San Antonio Police Department to be an officer, then you were promoted to detective. Is that correct?
Yes, after 5 years on patrol.
And you have to go through certain certifications and classifications to become a detective?
Yes, there's a test that we have to take
And how long have you been a detective?
for 2 years.
Okay, thank you. Officer or Detective Lopez, I'd like to take you back to April 23rd, 2017 at roughly about 5:19 in the afternoon. Were you dispatched to a scene?
Yes, I was.
And do you remember what you were dispatched for?
It was a shooting in progress.
And do you remember if you were dispatched, what the location, what was the location?
Yes, it was Northeast Loop 410 and McCullough Avenue.
And was it in particular to a certain location as in a restaurant or a bar
It was just the intersection.
intersection?
Yes.
And did you make the scene that day?
Yes, I did.
And when you made the scene, what did you observe?
So at that time, when I got to the scene, we were told that it was actually in a Chick-fil-A parking lot. So when I pulled up, I observed a male on the ground, and there were several citizens standing around him.
And the male that was on the ground, did you notice anything about the male on the ground?
He appeared unresponsive.
And did you notice anything else? Was he, you said, non-responsive? And what do you mean by that? Can you explain to the jury, please?
Yes, he was not moving. He was not having any sort of movements or breathing, it appeared.
So during your time at the scene, at least initially, and throughout the scene that you were there, did this person that was on the ground, did he ever get up?
No.
Did he ever talk to anyone?
No.
That you're aware of?
No.
And subsequently, did you stay at the scene until he was removed from the scene?
No, I did not.
And let me ask you, why did you exit the scene before it was, I guess, closed or finished?
Yes, I had transported a witness to public safety headquarters for a statement.
Okay, thank you. Now, while you're at the scene, can you please explain to the jury, as an officer, a patrol officer, what are your duties at any scene at that point?
Yeah, so my duties are to secure the scene, try and get as much suspect information from witnesses as possible, so that way I can broadcast that information to the officers that are on their way to the scene, and just to separate witnesses, and just secure the scene.
Now, and on this particular day, as you stated earlier, there were several individuals around this person that was non-responsive on the ground.
Yes,
And did you, well, if you can remember, you said numerous, so I guess, can you say an exact number or not?
no,
But you had a body cam on that day, is that correct?
yes, I did.
Okay, and would your body cam show those individuals when you arrived at the scene?
Yes, it would.
And during this time of the scene, did you speak with individuals at the scene?
Yes, I did.
And can you please tell the jury, do you know the names of those individuals?
I do. If I can refresh my memory with my report.
And let me just go ahead and just mark that for, what is,
Miss Lopez, Detective Lopez, you seem like a smart police. He directly asked you, do you remember the names of the people? You said, first you said yes, and then you said, can I refresh my recollection? That's not you remembering names.
I'm going to mark this state exhibit number 11, and you brought this in with you. What is it that you have in front of you?
It is my police report.
It's your police report. Is it a copy of your police
It is
report?
a copy of my police report.
And you obtained this police report from me previous to this day.
Yes, I did.
And is it fairly and accurately represent the report that you made for this particular case?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And yes, ma'am, if you can go ahead and refresh your memory and tell the jury the individuals that you spoke with at the scene.
I spoke to a Nick Milner.
Sorry, Your Honor, if the record would reflect that the witness is reading from the report, you could ask the witness to refresh your memory, but not read directly from the report.
All right, so you're not allowed to read directly from the report. If there is something where you're refreshing your memory, you can review the report and then just look away from the report and if you're able to answer the question.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
It was a Nick Milner.
And then she
Linda
proceeds
Bailey,
to
and
actually
Gabriel
read from the
Baez.
report.
Okay, thank you. Now, what are the purposes of speaking to them? Did you speak with them all together, or how do you go about that?
Separated as much as possible.
And I mean, what would you consider this scene? Is it, I guess, can you explain it? Is it like an active scene, or is it an ongoing scene? How would you describe that to the jury?
At that point, when I got there, it was definitely an active scene.
And I guess at that portion, what are y'all doing in this active time at the scene?
Just trying to get as much suspect information as possible. That way, when officers are en route to the scene, if they happen to see a suspect vehicle or suspects fleeing from that location, they could be apprehended at that time. And then separating witnesses. That way, they're not influencing each other.
Okay, and that last thing that you said separating witnesses so they don't influence. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is something the prosecution will try to focus on. No. They were all separated, so they gave individual. They are really hammering down on that. But she is the sole officer at scene, as I understand it. It will be interesting to see the actual body cam to see if this reflects what is going on.
Want to make sure it influence each other. Is that what you said?
Right.
And can you explain to the jury what do you mean by that?
Yeah, just so that way, in case one witness didn't know a certain detail, they wouldn't get that from another witness that they didn't see.
And so,
but that we got from one of the first witnesses, that they actually talked about it before the cop came to the scene.
When you have an active scene, you're trying to separate these individuals, and I think you stated earlier, as best as you can.
Yes,
Is that what you did at this scene?
yes, I did.
Now, were there other
Oops.
officers that arrived at the scene also?
After I did, yes,
And so you were one of the first, I guess, officers to arrive.
yes.
And when you were at the scene, and after you spoke with these individuals, did you end up collecting anything at the scene?
Yes, I did.
What did you collect at the scene?
A cell phone
Where did you get that cell phone from?
from Gabriel Baez.
And that's one of the individuals that you spoke to at the scene that you considered a witness.
Yes.
And did he hand it to you, or how did he get it to you?
Yeah, it was wrapped in a white hand towel, and he had handed it to me.
And obviously, you can't speak of what exactly he told you, but is this something, a piece of evidence that you felt that was important to collect at the scene?
Yes.
And subsequently, you received this from Gabriel Baez. What did you do with that that towel and that phone?
Yes. So I held onto it until one of our crime scene units, detectives or investigators came to the scene, and then I passed that on to her.
Okay, and do you remember you passed it off to a particular individual?
Yes.
And who was that particular individual you passed it off to?
CSI Kimberly Wong.
And then you stated that you ended up, I mean, well, did you do anything else at the scene at that point?
Besides interviewing the witnesses, collecting the cell phone, no, not that I can remember.
And then you stated that you actually, earlier testimony, you stated that you transported somebody down to headquarters.
Yes.
Do you recall that person's name or no?
Linda Bailey, I believe.
What's
Linda Bailey?
Okay. And after that, did you have any participation in the investigation of this case or any other things that you participated in?
No, I did not.
And I'm going to show you what's been marked state exhibit number 10. It's in an envelope, but if we take that all out of the envelope, do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And what do you recognize that to be?
My body worn camera footage.
And how do you recognize it that that is your body worn cam footage?
It has my initials on there.
So did you have an opportunity to review the video that is on this CD?
Yes, I did.
And is it the video from April 23rd, 2017, roughly?
They still use CDs. Seriously. There are so much better things out there, and they still use physical CDs.
At 5:17 in the afternoon at the Chick-fil-A parking lot?
Yes, it is.
And it fairly and accurately represents that?
Yes, it does.
And has there been any altercations to it?
No.
Well, one thing that has been altered is body cams have audio.
Yes, they do.
But due to some restrictions, we muted this this body cam. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so this is a muted version of your body cam.
Yes, it is.
So it just has video.
Right.
Okay. Thanks. Your Honor, at this time, the state offers state exhibit number 10 to enter into evidence. We'll tender to defense for any objections.
No objections.
All right, state's exhibit number 10 is admitted.
Judge, may we publish this to the jury?
Yes.
And Judge, just to allow for expediency, we've made a copy of the exact same video from the CD and put it on our hard drive of our computer. We're asking the court to allow us to go ahead and play it from the hard drive just to expedite the process here. Well, the defense doesn't object.
No, as long as it's the same as the CD, I have no objection.
All right, yes, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge.
Hold on, I need to check something here. Because I do know that I prefer to use the Zoom, but apparently we can't see the video. And I'm just checking if I can find it somewhere. Let's see if are they showing it. Yes, they are. Let's see. I'm just checking here. Let's see if we can actually see it. Okay, there it is. Oh. This is KSAT 12. And they are idiots. Why would you go? Why the KSAT, you absolute twats? What? They are playing the actual video, and you decide to turn the camera on the defendant instead. You fuck twat. No, they actually don't show anything.
Can you tell the jury what we're witnessing here?
Yes.
Seriously? For the love of fuck. How can... I thought Law and Crime was ridiculous sometimes, or Core TV was ridiculous sometimes. But these fuckers, seriously, they are playing evidence. And you decide, no, let's focus on the defendant instead. Let's focus on JK. Nobody's interested in the evidence. How can... No. Fuck this. I'm going back to the Zoom. Because if they are doing this, I will not honor them with the things.
This to. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this to 0253 on the VLC. And I'm going to go ahead and pause it at that point at 3007. Now, is this when you first arrive at the scene?
Yes.
And this is the numerous people you mentioned, is that correct?
Yes.
And I see can you count how many people are there?
Like 9?
And so it's many different people there, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going through KSAT and see if they are actually
And I'm going to pause it right there at
anything.
3.28. Now, at that point, it looks like you're speaking to numerous people there, and they're sort of circled around the person that's on the ground that we just saw on your body cam. What are you?
Okay, I'm going to show one thing from. This is the actual the overhead of. Here is the parking lot, and there is the Chick-fil-A. Which one is which? So I don't know. Yeah, but either way, almost everybody is in one parking lot looking at the other parking lot. I think this in the middle here is the Chick-fil-A. And this is the mall because it simply looks bigger. And somehow people in one parking lot sees exactly what happens, not only on the street, but in the other parking lot. Yeah. I mean, you can see something happen, but that much detail, that's just ridiculous. Okay, let's get back to the Zoom thing.
Do you remember what you were asking?
Suspect information. If they had a description of suspects, vehicle information, those sort of questions.
And now this is the initial contact with them. You stated earlier that you try to separate witnesses.
Yes,
And so why at this point are you just talking to them all together?
yes. At this point, I'm the only officer on scene, so I'm kind of keeping everybody at eye level, or I can see everybody, and just trying to see if I can get any good suspects' descriptions, information.
Hey, good morning, Phoenix. Thank you for being a member for 11 months. Eslo, please cover all her trials. I have an entire playlist with only Judge Boyd. I have an entire playlist. I started watching her court docket and stuff like that
All right
about a
there.
month ago.
Nice. There we go. Oh, there we go. Your arm moved, just for the record. I was laughing at the fact that there's an arm in the way of the body cam. I've paused it at 4.17 on the VLC. This individual that the camera is paused on, do you recognize that individual?
Yes, I do.
And what is that individual's name?
Gabriel Baez,
And one, how do you recognize that individual?
because he's holding the cell phone wrapped in the white towel.
And so in his left hand, for the record, in his left hand on the paused video, he has a towel, and you're saying that it's wrapped around a cell phone. Is that correct?
Yes,
And what you testified earlier to, you collecting a cell phone and a white towel from Gabriel Baez. Is this the Gabriel Baez and the cell phone and the towel that you collected?
yes.
Thank you. Individual that's non-responsive on the ground, walking relatively close to him. And it looked like somebody was knelt down next to the non-responsive individual. At this particular point, since you're the only officer, are you worried about, say, evidence being moved, or are you concerned with that?
All right, I think this is a sort of compound question. I don't know exactly what the question
I
is.
can rephrase, Your Honor. All right, so is your objection?
One thing that is clear to me here, because according to the prosecution, people were there trying to do a first aid. This is the first responder. So far, we haven't heard her saying anything about people actually rendering first aid.
Compound question?
Yes.
All right, that objection will be sustained.
Are you worried about any evidence being moved around at the scene?
Objection leading.
That'll be overruled.
Can you repeat the question?
Are you worried about any evidence being moved at this point?
No.
What is your first concern at this point?
The citizen that was kneeling down was applying pressure to the gunshot wound of the victim, so I wanted him to keep applying that pressure.
Okay. Now we have it. I should just have listened a
Now-
bit more.
This portion of the video, I'll pause it at 0546. It seems that at that point, individuals have moved away from the person that is on the ground.
Yes.
Why is that?
At this point, other officers have arrived on scene, and we want to make sure to separate all witnesses.
Did you check if he was still alive? Did any of the officer continue first aid? Now, the gunshot went in the shoulder, through the body, puncturing both lungs and everything. So a gunshot like that, yeah, that's a kill shot. But they
At this
don't know
point-
that.
Well, let me just ask, on the video, what were you doing there?
I was getting crime scene tape from the back of my patrol vehicle to mark off the scene.
So at this particular point, no crime scene tape has been roped off around the actual scene,
No, not yet.
and that's what you're currently doing on the video?
Yes.
And for purposes of time, I will fast forward, Your Honor. I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there at 10:56. And you're speaking to an individual there. Do you recall who that individual is?
Nick Milner?
And that's one of the individuals that you listed earlier that you spoke with.
Correct.
And it seems, was this individual earlier on your body cam, was that individual near the body?
Yes.
this point, I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward, Your Honor. 13:15. At 15:55, it seems that this is, what are we viewing here right now?
Or getting a witness statement from Nick Milner.
And other officers are at the scene?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm checking that other, and they show
Go ahead and fast
nothing
forward to 16:58.
this. Nothing. They just go back and forth between the witness and the defendant while this is being played in court. On KSAT, it's really nice that you have cameras there.
17:47.
But in my personal opinion, if you're going to cover a trial, show the evidence that is shown in court. It's not that hard.
It seems that it's paused at 18:09. This is the same individual, Gabriel Baez, holding that towel and phone. Is that correct?
Yes.
Go ahead and fast forward to 22:44:20 on the actual body cam.
Gabriel Baez had walked me to the area where he had collected the cell phone.
Folks, I'm going to skip to, let's see here. No, they are taking a break or something. Oh yeah. I'm going to skip to, let's see here.
You state exhibit number 3. And where
I'm going to skip to, because apparently they had a break and then they had some other issues and then they came back. I'm going to listen to
All right.
so I can get to cross-examination instead, because direct
We'll keep this one, right? Sometimes I'll give it to you.
Anytime, just as long as there's no testimony.
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
That's the aim. We appreciate that accommodation.
Sure.
It's always tough with family.
Yeah, I've been there.
hold on.
So to save us a little bit of time, obviously,
Oh,
so
sorry, seems like I skipped.
Defense?
thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah,
Good
here's
afternoon,
here's
how are you?
cross-examination.
Well, thank you. You had talked about the importance of separating witnesses to make sure that they're not contaminating each other's eyewitness memory of the event, right?
Yes.
When you arrived, obviously, everyone was gathered around Mr. Saldivar.
Yes.
And while you did separate people as other officers arrived to help you, we see on your body-worn camera several groups of people sort of waiting to be spoken to, right?
Yes.
I think at one point we saw Ashley, forgive me on her last name. One moment, please.
Wendale.
Yes. Wendale.
Wendale.
Do you recall her being at the scene?
I do.
Okay. The girl with the black and white striped shirt, do you recall her?
I can't recall now.
Okay, if we could go back a little bit. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it's interesting that she on direct said she remembered the people she was talking to, but apparently, if she hasn't her report in front of her, her recollection is somewhat lacking.
Nothing else? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Back a little. The young lady in the shorts and the black and white striped shirt on the left there. Do you see her on your video?
Yes, I do.
Did you interview her?
No, I did not.
Another officer would have interviewed her, correct?
Yes,
And she was sort of with her family the whole time that you were interviewing those gentlemen. Their hand showed you on camera, right?
I don't know where she was when I was interviewing other people.
You're focused on those people.
Correct.
Okay. It's fair to say there were still people talking to each other while this was going on, right?
Yes,
You indicated that when you received the cell phone and the white towel, you passed that off to Kimberly Wong, right?
yes.
And I apologize if this asks you to repeat something. Ms. Wong's function within the department is what exactly?
A crime scene investigator.
Okay, and you just better quantify and explain that role for us.
Yeah, so crime scene investigators get dispatched to crime scenes to process the scene, collect evidence, those sort of duties.
Okay, so they're responsible for, bagging the evidence, as they say, putting it in some kind of a container where it can't be contaminated or touched,
Yes,
and then documenting that, right?
correct.
So that there's a chain of custody throughout the process, and we know that that actually is something that was authentically collected from the scene of the crime.
Yes,
Would they be doing fingerprints?
yes,
Would they be photographing things of significance?
yes.
And do they make the decision about whether to do that, or do the detective?
They should know what to take photos of at the scene, but usually a detective will let CSI know or ask if they've taken photos of something. But something of importance would be photographs.
So sometimes it's very much directed by a detective, and sometimes they're sort of left to use their own judgment. Fair to say?
Yeah, depending on what kind of crime scene it is.
Okay, but I mean, among homicide cases, you might see a little bit of both.
Detectives would have to say what they want.
In a homicide case specifically, the detective has to tell the tech what to bag, what to photograph, what to document.
I believe they let them know what evidence is found or during a search, and then what should be collected and photographed.
Okay, and they're not ever tasked with going around and looking for the evidence themselves.
Usually, no.
Okay, and you say usually. In this case, did that happen at all, to your knowledge?
I wasn't the detective on the case, so I don't know.
Okay. You were not involved in the collection of shell casings or in looking for shell casings, right?
No.
Okay. So you took those statements, you took the phone, you went over with the gentleman to see where he had found the phone, and then you drove was it Bailey to the station for a statement?
A witness to the headquarters. Yes.
Okay, understood. And you didn't return later.
Correct. I did not.
Okay. What time were you dispatched?
If I could look. About 17:19.
17:19. All right. And so on the clock up there, it says T22:24:09Z. I'm guessing that that's not correct based on your notes from dispatch time, correct?
Correct.
Because this is showing when you first arrived.
Correct.
What do you think was the response time from the time it was originally put into dispatch for an officer to arrive to when you make the scene?
That I would not know.
Okay. How would we know if we wanted to know that information?
I guess we could speak with somebody in dispatch.
Okay. And to be clear, the location that the gentleman leads you to where the phone was found is not something that you could see from the 410 access road, right?
Correct.
It would be out of the Chick-fil-A would block your line of sight of that spot.
Correct.
Okay. Pass the witness.
Go ahead and just show you state exhibit number 3. And on this map, where did Mr. Valdez say that he found that phone?
I can be back towards the rear
Right here?
left of.
Okay. So you're pointing to right at this location here?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, now we can skip ahead to the next witness. There you go.
And then also speaking to that mic.
I mean, wasn't the worst cop I've heard on the stand, but also it really didn't show, because I believe they had her there mostly because, their witnesses never talk to each other to get confirmation bias or anything, but I don't think they succeeded very well in that.
All right, if you can raise your right hand, do you solemnly, that's okay. Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yeah.
All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so that members of the jury can hear. If you'll state your name and spell your last name, please.
Ana Delgado, Delgado.
All right, state, and you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Hi, how you doing, Ms. Delgado?
Hi, doing good.
I think we spoke previously, but one, let me just ask, do you currently live in San Antonio, Texas?
Yes, I do.
And how long have you lived in San Antonio, Texas?
Like over 23 years.
23 years? Okay. Well, let me take you back to about 7 or 8 years ago. Where were you working at that time?
Papados.
And what were you doing at Papados?
I was working, I was a prep chef.
So what was your attire back then? What would you wear to work?
Chef coat, chef pants, non-slip shoes.
And would that be something similar to like a chef looking outfit?
Correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
And let me ask you, on April 23rd, 2017, were you at work at Papados restaurant that day?
Yes, I was.
And at roughly 5 o'clock or so in the afternoon, were you currently still at work, or what were you doing?
I was already off of work, so my husband was picking me up from work.
And this Papados restaurant, where is it located here in San Antonio?
Off of 410.
And is there any intersections close to that?
It's McCullough and Jones Mountsburger.
Okay.
Mhm.
And
It's in between.
so when your husband, you said your husband was coming to pick you up?
Mhm.
And what kind of car did you drive, or did he drive at that time?
We had a blue Toyota Camry.
And did he pick you up that day in that vehicle?
Correct. Yes.
And when y'all left Papados, which way on the highway did y'all go?
We hit the access road towards Jones Mossberger, took the turnaround on the access road to McCullough.
And you remained on the access road at this time?
Correct.
And when you were coming up to the intersection, you mentioned McCullough.
Mhm.
What did you do there?
We were to stop because the light was red
And do you recall what lane you were in?
in the far right,
So far right lane?
left. Sorry, left. Oh, wait. Yes. All right.
Far,
Towards the, what is it? Wait, left side. Sorry.
okay.
Right.
What?
Yeah, something like that.
Well,
It was
let's
far.
go-
It was towards the hotel that I think
Okay.
it was a double tree.
Let me do this.
I
I'm gonna approach.
haven't been over there in a long time.
Well, one, I just to let the jury and the court be aware,
Mhm.
your voice is a little, or you're sort of like the words are a little slurred at times. What type of procedure
I had
did you have?
dental work. I had 4 extractions and a bone graft, so I'm barely a week into post-op. So, yeah.
Okay, so that's why your mouth, it maybe little slurred words or something like that.
Correct.
Okay, and that's about a week ago.
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay, thank you. I'm gonna show you what's been marked state exhibit number 3. And if you don't mind, can you point out on there where you were located when you came to the stoplight at that
I was
intersection
roughly on this side right here.
on this side over here? So you're pointing at that portion closest to the hotel side?
Correct.
And
Mhm.
so if we're looking at that, what side of the street would that be on?
It's gonna be on right.
The right side?
Mhm.
Okay, so just to confirm, you're right about here.
Mhm.
And that's where you stopped, and that's on the far right side, closest to the hotel.
Closest to the
Okay,
hotel, correct.
all right. And when you stopped at this stoplight, were there any vehicles in front of yours?
Yes, there was.
Well, one, do you recall how many were in front of you?
Well, the one vehicle in front of me, just the black 4-door vehicle that was in front of us. Mhm.
So that's sort of why you're here today. And
If it was in front of you, how do you know it was a 4-door car?
you discussed this case with myself and other prosecutors at times, is that correct?
Correct.
Have you ever discussed it with defense counsels that you're aware of?
No.
Okay, or any of their investigators?
No.
Okay. Now, when you stop at this light, you mentioned the black 4-door car in front of you.
Mhm.
Do you recall how far you were from this car when you came up? to the
Probably a
stoplight?
few feet away from it. Mhm.
So would that be sort of like the normal distance when you're
Normal
stopping?
distance as you're coming to a stop right behind a vehicle. Mhm.
And did anything bring your attention to that vehicle in front of you?
Yes.
Can you please describe to the jury?
The vehicle started like moving side to side as if they were playing inside the vehicle. So that's what caught my attention because it was just swaying. There was movement in the car. That's why I was like more attentive to that. I did see the back passenger side open, the door open. Then they closed it. They opened it again. And they pushed, which is the victim, out of the vehicle. Then they closed the door. So the victim was outside of the vehicle trying to open the door. He started yelling for help. He went around to the other side of the vehicle to try to open the door. They were all locked.
This is now she is looking right outside her window. This is a person who, in my opinion, actually sees stuff because it's right in front of her. Nobody else said anything about him running around to the other side of the car. Again, the discrepancy between the witnesses is ginormous.
So then the light turned green. The gentleman went to the front of the vehicle and jumped on the hood. Then he held on. The light turned green. Of course, the vehicle started moving. That vehicle started going, and it kind of sped up. It started maneuvering side to side to get the gentleman off. Of course, it didn't. He held on. I thought they were going to get on 410, but then they turned into Chick-fil-A. So
Okay. And let me ask you this. When you saw this individual that was, I think you said pushed out, or I'm sorry, that's not good, pushed out or thrown out of the
thrown
car.
out, pushed out. Yeah,
Do you remember if that was a male or female?
it was a male.
And do you remember if his race or was he Hispanic? Was he black?
Hispanic.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you saw this individual jump on the hood,
Mhm.
you said he held on.
Correct.
How was he holding on?
On the hood, closer to the windshield.
You were behind them. How did you see that?
So yeah, his face was facing the windshield.
And so what was he standing up holding on, or do you recall?
No, he was laying flat on the hood.
And so this vehicle takes off and then turns into the Chick-fil-A parking lot.
Correct.
And where were you when this vehicle pulled into the Chick-fil-A parking lot?
I was passing the park where they turn into Chick-fil-A.
Mhm.
So I was passing as the vehicle was turned into and parked right there in the entrance of Chick-fil-A.
And so your vehicle was on the access road,
On the access road.
and what would you classify your speed as? Were you fast or slow?
I was pretty slow.
And do you recall if you were with your husband? So do you recall if he was driving or you were driving?
He was driving and I was on the passenger side.
And when this happens, do you continue down the access road or what do you do?
As soon as the vehicle, turned into Chick-fil-A, as I was looking, of course, the passenger, the gentleman, the person inside the vehicle opened the door on the passenger side and stepped out, of course, half of body, and just shot the gentleman. The gentleman had stood up on the vehicle already, on the hood.
Mhm.
And so he stomped his foot on the windshield, which is the victim, stomped his foot in the windshield. He shattered it.
Mhm.
Then that's when the gentleman from inside the vehicle, he opened it, stepped out and just shot him. That's when I saw the gentleman, the victim, fall off the hood. And then after that, I don't know what happened because that's when I passed. And I turned into where that Jason's Deli entrance
Uh-huh.
is at. And I parked in that parking lot
Okay.
behind
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A.
Did she is this her driving, or I mean, that would put everything on the right side of her. So she drove straight forward like that. Yeah, maybe.
I'll show you again what's marked. Say exhibit number 3. And
Oh, she
you
was the
stated that
passenger. Okay.
you're
Yeah.
on Access Road. Can you show me on the map where you pulled in and said that
Thank you,
you
Ronan.
parked?
Thank you.
This one. So I parked back here.
Over here?
Yeah.
Okay, so is that
I'm
where
getting
my finger
confused
is?
because she says all the time that she parked there. I kept driving. So I guess it's just the way she phrases it.
Publishing State Exhibit number 3. And I believe you pointed to right in this area right here.
Correct,
So you came down the access road, pulled in here, and ended up parking in this area.
correct.
Now, when you're parked in this area, did you ever see that little that black car again?
Yes, so, I had parked already, and behind Chick-fil-A. Then I heard it peel off, of course, because I had my windows down. And I saw it turn the corner of Chick-fil-A. And as I saw the vehicle turn that corner, I saw something just fly out of the window. I don't know what it was or what it was at that time. And then it just sped off right in the front of us, and then it just took off from there.
And again, I'm gonna go ahead and approach again because it's a little going back and forth. I'll get my
Yeah.
sense of the day. But can you point out to here where you stated that you saw the vehicle going? Here we go. You can just don't mark on that. But go ahead and
Okay.
show.
So it sped off, and I saw it.
Yeah, I mean, Neo Dark Matter says, oh, she was actually driving but doesn't have a valid license to drive, so made it look like her husband drove. Or she was driving and it was the husband who saw this and relayed it to her, but he doesn't want to testify for some reason, so she's doing it. There's a lot of things here, but the word it's how she answers, because if her husband is driving, why is she saying I parked here, I took off that way? It's just so strange.
But turn right here,
Mhm.
and then go through here,
Okay,
and then come out that way.
okay.
Okay.
Again, permission to the jury that you stated that you saw the vehicle from the behind the Chick-fil-A come this way. Is that right?
Correct.
And it goes out this, does it
That
exit?
entrance,
Okay. And you said you saw something fly out of the vehicle?
correct.
And do you recall, where it came from in the vehicle? Do you know it came out the driver's side, passenger side, or do you recall that at all?
No, I don't.
Okay. Now, going back to when you're passing by and the vehicle, that black vehicle pulled into the Chick-fil-A parking lot, and you see who you identified as the victim
Mhm.
standing on the hood, and then the passenger opens the door and leans out and shoots the victim.
Correct.
Which door opened on that vehicle?
The passenger side,
And it was a 4-door vehicle, so would it be the front door?
the
or
front passenger side.
The front passenger.
Correct.
Now, were you able to, like at least identify whether that person was a male or a female?
No.
Were you able to identify whether that person was, African American, Hispanic, or white, or any kind of complexion?
No,
Well-
not the, no, not the Hispanic or any, I don't know.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
And for that matter, you gave a statement back then, a written statement, right?
Correct.
And it does not depict that you identified any race or clothing.
Objection, hearsay foundation.
I'll rephrase you.
All right, with regards to your objection, that'll be sustained.
Did you indicate anything in your statement about the race of the person?
Oh, it's a sustained without a motion for mistrial. Hey, how about that?
That was the shooter?
Objection, hearsay foundation.
No,
That,
oh,
no, that's fine. When anyone makes an objection,
Mhm.
just don't say anything because I need to make a ruling on it, and then I'll make a ruling. And if you still don't know if you can answer, just ask me.
Okay.
All right. So State, if you'll ask your question.
Let me ask you, did you ever indicate whether you knew the race of the individual that stepped out of the vehicle?
No, that's the exact same question.
All right. So what's your objection?
Hearsay foundation. It's trying
Alright.
to offer it as a prior consistent to rebut claim of recent fabrication. There hasn't been a claim.
All right. So that objection will be overruled. You can answer the question.
no race, no.
Uh, and in your just previous testimony, could you determine whether the person was male or female?
Yes, there was, well, Yes, it was 2 male in the front, and then the 3 persons in the back were 2 males and 1 female.
And my
Oh, really? You are saying that the 2 people in the front were both male, and in the back there were 2 males and a female. Oh, what? Or did I hear it wrong?
Yes, there was 2 male in the front, and then the 3 persons in the back were 2 males and 1 female.
Everybody is saying that up until now, everybody is saying that the car was driven by a female. Huh? How about that? And again, yeah, as Mrs. K. Grift also, they're assuming they were male and female. This is
and
getting
my
strange.
this was from. Let me ask you this from your vantage point. How how were you viewing the vehicle? It was in front of you, is that correct?
In front, correct.
And did you ever see a view of this vehicle from the side or any other view?
No, just behind.
And so even when you passed by at the Chick-fil-A, were you still viewing the vehicle from the back?
Correct, yes.
And how could you determine, say, the sex of these individuals by just viewing it from the back of the vehicle? Because let me retract that question. What could you see from the back? Like, were you looking through the back shield window?
Objection, compound question.
Right, that'll be overruled.
You can answer the question.
Okay. I was behind the vehicle, so I could just see the windshield, the persons from, shoulder length, and then the head, the face, I mean, not the face, but the head and the hair. So I determined it as in haircuts, hair, the body sculpture of the shoulders.
And
Uh-oh, prosecution. So, in my opinion, this is the witness this far that had an actual clear sight, because she was behind looking at everything happening in front of her. The car in front of them said they had to look back. And remember, that was a car with 2 in the front, 3 in the back, with a baby in the knee. And they were very detailed. Yeah, but it's strange.
did you, I'm sorry, I have 1 second, Norm.
I don't think the prosecution was expecting this.
When after you stopped the vehicle and then you saw the black four-door vehicle exit, what did you do after that?
I called 911.
And you made a 911 call that day, and are you stating right after you saw the vehicle pass by?
Correct. Mhm.
Yes. Gigi says, if she would see me from behind, she's going to say you were a very tall woman. No. I'm not entirely sure that is. Maybe. I don't know. I do think, because it doesn't show this well, but it's my giant head that makes my body look slim. Folks, I'm close to 300 pounds. Yeah, I'm a bit over 6'3" and close to 300 pounds, but it's my giant head that makes the rest of me look slimmer. So it might be, I saw a balloon with a stick under it or something.
And Judge, at this time, the state would like to publish State Exhibit number 9 that has been previously admitted.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, as Mrs. Kegrift says, how can you see that much into a car from behind? Yeah, and also if
911, this is Xavier. Do you need police, fire, or EMS?
yeah, everybody is so damn detailed.
Police and EMS,
What is the
the
location?
guys at that shot right now.
What's the location? Our location.
It's, on 410 and, San Pedro, right over here.
410
At the Chick-fil-A, yeah, at the Chick-fil-A.
Is it the one where the music store is at?
There's a TGI Friday.
Is it Sam Ash music store or something around there, or what?
Oh, I don't see it. Oh, yes, it is. Yes,
At the Chick-fil-A, right?
at the Chick-fil-A, yes. It was a black, four-door, Tommy, little car. I didn't get the license plate, but they left them right here. They started. Yeah, there's people here with them, but we need EMS.
Okay, stay on the line, all right? I just need to get some
Okay.
information. I'm trying to find a location.
I need you to park, Audi. Those
If that happened, I mean, it was in front, but the Chick-fil-A was closed. It was a Sunday. How was people already there? Because she was right there.
support. It was like 5 people in that car. It was there was some girl and there were some guys in there. They started at the light because I was coming out of work and they were
So
just
did you get a vehicle or what?
no, the guy got off from the vehicle, so they pushed him off at the light. And then he got on top of the vehicle and he started yelling for help. So I was like, man, and because I was driving, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't
Okay,
get
so
my
the
phone
suspects
ready.
were inside the car when they shot him?
Yes, and he got on top of
What
the
kind of
hood.
vehicle is it?
It was a, oh my God, I didn't have patience to the vehicle because everything
Was
just
it a
happened
black
so.
car, truck, SUV?
It was a black car, 4-door. And there's probably right now 4 people right now in that vehicle. And
There was 4 people inside the vehicle?
he was, oh my God, they shot him in the face. He's dead. I'm sorry.
Where's he laying right now?
He's on the floor. Yes,
At the Chick-fil-A?
yes.
How long ago was it when they shot him?
I'm sorry.
How long ago was it when they shot him?
I'd say probably like 3 minutes ago. And they stuffed some stuff in his mouth. Yeah, they stuffed the weed in his mouth. And he kept on screaming for help and he got on the,
Yeah, she said she was driving. So what is it? Was your husband even in the car? And how did he stuff his weed in his mouth? I mean, there's so much strange in this.
on top of the car, the hood of the car. There's still a pulse on it. Somebody's checking the pulse. There's still a pulse.
Which way did the vehicle go?
It went off on 410 on Blanco.
Which one, eastbound, westbound?
Westbound.
Did you see what kind of weapon they used?
No, sir. I didn't think nothing of it, so I kept on going slow and straight. But they turned into Chick-fil-A and they just shot him. And I saw the gunshot. Like that's when I just turned into the other street and I stopped because I didn't want them to see me.
So y'all are at the entrance of the Chick-fil-A?
Yeah, right in the entrance.
Do you have any other information on the
A black
subject?
Kia. A black Kia.
Nothing
no.
like Kia?
Yeah.
Are you by the person that got shot?
Right now, yes. Some other persons are here and they're also witnesses to the vehicle as well.
What is your last name?
My last name is Delgado, Ana Delgado, and I just got out from working for Papa Do's.
The phone number I have to call back is 210-602-8333?
Yes, yes. Oh my God, hurry.
I got the call out for an officer to go out there. I'm just updating the call as we go, okay?
Okay,
Can you tell me if the people in the car were black, Hispanic, white? Were you able to see or no?
I'm thinking they were Hispanic. I believe they were Hispanic. But it looks like they were really beating him up, honestly. He had a bump on his head.
So did you hear a gunshot or what?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
How many gunshots did you hear?
Just one,
Okay.
one.
Let me know when the officers get
Just
there.
one. They're right here, officers here.
Okay.
Officers.
Go ahead and talk to them, all right?
Okay,
Thank you. Bye-bye.
thanks, bye-bye.
I'll show you what's been marked in the well. And do you recognize what that is, a still photo?
Yes.
And what do you believe is shown in that photo?
That's where the incident happened,
And,
and that's my vehicle behind there.
and that would be your vehicle on the access road?
Correct. And
And-
that confirms on what had happened.
And previously, you had witnessed a video, is that correct?
Mhm.
And you identified your vehicle in this still photo behind, on the access road, behind a four-door black vehicle, is that correct?
Sustained.
Let me ask you,
Disregard the question.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're to disregard that last question.
let me ask you this, does this fairly and accurately represent April 23rd, 2017, roughly 5 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yes.
Thank you. Senator Defense, we're asking to be entered into evidence, Your Honors. Senator Defense, for any objections?
Thank you, Derek. That's so nice of you. Thank you for £3. That's very, very nice of you. It's Lemon Man doing thumbs up. Hey, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you.
Your Honor, may I take a witness on a brief order?
Yes.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
Hi, doing good.
You were shown State's Exhibit 12 a second ago, a photograph, correct?
Mhm.
And you said that that's a still capture from a lengthier video, correct?
Correct.
The video shows lots of cars over the course of it, right? Is there any particular thing about this that makes your car stand out to us? I mean, is it difficult to actually see? Man,
On the still, on that picture, it is hard to see, but on the actual video, you can kind of see. And it confirms on what I saw, what was happening on that day.
so fair to say this really doesn't very accurately depict what you saw on another image at a different time, right? It's just an approximation of it.
What do you mean? Sorry. Can you,
You wouldn't be able to just spot, oh, that's my car based on this photograph, would you?
not on this photograph.
We would just object it doesn't fairly accurately depict.
Response.
Your Honor, she testified that this is a still photo from a video that she witnessed in entirety. At this time, we're not entering that video. We're asking to enter this portion for the trier of fact to be able
What?
to view this vehicle that she's identified as hers.
May I see State's Exhibit number 12, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor,
What?
just for
This is so strange.
Also for the record, Your Honor, what I would further say about my objection is that it's a fisheye camera photograph, and that's, I think, why it doesn't fairly accurately depict.
All right, State's Exhibit number 12 is admitted.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Well, in Texas, because as the main witnesses here are the three other people in the car who, in exchange for freedom, are testifying against J.K. But according to Texas law, that is not enough for a conviction. There has to be corroborating testimony and evidence, corroborating evidence to their stories. Also, I believe they said in opening statement that you cannot, you have to, what was it what I said about these snitches, that they have to be individually, you have to evaluate them individually, not as a group, only individually. So that is why they bring all of these other witnesses in. Now, of course, they should bring all of these people in, but so far it's just witness testimony who actually don't tell much about what actually went on inside the car. Ronan, prove the defendant was in the car at all, or prove that he was the one that shot the gun. I do believe they have to prove that he was actually shooting the gun. I do believe that there is some evidence that he was in the car at some point in time, but that might not be that day, because if all they have are, hey, we found his hair or his DNA or his fingerprint, yeah, but how do you know he was there that exact day? So they need all of these other witnesses to say they saw a black man in the front passenger seat in the car. But here she is saying there were two males in the front, and everybody else says it was a female and a male in the front of the car. So don't know how much it actually corroborates.
Showing the jury on the overhead, the photo that you just described, and you're stating that this is your vehicle on the access road?
Right.
And it's just that four-door black vehicle?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. And is this there's an individual?
Yeah, it's just weird. Now, they actually have to prove that she was actually at the scene. This is not usual because she did the 911 call if it was from her phone. But also she said her husband drove. But on the 911 call, she said that she drove. This is so strange.
On the, is there somebody on that hood?
Well, what is your objection?
Well, the predicate was laid that this is a photograph of her vehicle, and now he's asking whether someone's climbing on the hood, implying that it's the vehicle.
Okay,
in question.
so what is your legal objection, counsel?
That she either she has no personal knowledge, or it isn't what the state purported it to be when they offered the exhibit. I don't know which.
All right, so, state, you may lay your foundation into both parties. If you're gonna use the Elmo and you want a witness to point to something, I'm gonna ask, because it will be easier for the jurors, it's easier for the parties, if the person will step down. And whenever you have to step down into the well of the court, just remember to keep your voice up so that the jurors can hear as well.
Okay.
Now, with regards to your question, if you'll step down, please. They have something on the Elmo, and then ask your question, make your objection, and the court will make a ruling.
Okay. Now, I'm gonna ask you, whose vehicle is that right there?
That would be mine.
And whose vehicle is this right here?
That would be the gentleman, the black car.
Black car. And what do you view on that black car?
The passenger side of the front door is open.
Mhm.
And there's the victim
Okay. And where's the victim located at?
on the hood.
Okay, thank you. You can take a seat, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Your Honor, may I briefly void the witness again before I make my objection?
Your Honor.
No, you
I'm
can
not
cross-examine the witness if the state is passing the witness.
Passing the witness, Your Honor.
All right, the witness has been passed.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
Good.
You said that photograph that you were shown was taken from a lengthier video, correct?
Correct.
That the prosecutor showed you?
Yes.
When did that occur?
During one of the interviews that I had.
Okay, and a moment ago, when the prosecutor showed you that photograph, he didn't ask you whether or not it depicted any other cars that you recognized. He only asked you whether it depicted your car, correct?
Mhm.
He didn't ask you, I'm sorry, ma'am, the reporter can't write down. Mhm.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so he didn't ask you any questions about the car that's sort of in the top center of the frame until after the exhibit was admitted, right?
Yes.
Fair to say that you have greater context and the reasons why Exhibit 12 stands out to you is because you watched that whole video.
Yes.
Okay, Your Honor, under optional completeness, we would ask that the entirety of this surveillance footage be admitted contemporaneously with this so that it isn't so misleading, number one, if the court.
Well, just 1 second. He would like the entirety of the video admitted.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, so they say they have no objections. Do you have the video?
All right, yeah.
If we could just have it admitted.
Yeah, I'm wondering, why didn't the state offer the entirety of the video to start with?
And I don't know if you all want to mark that as a defense exhibit.
Yes,
or-
please.
All right. And what number would that be for the defense? Two.
Had some. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
No problem.
I feel better. This is violent.
Yeah, there's no audio on it at all. Or everything else.
And could I have parties approach, please?
Oh, we have a sidebar. And this is sidebar number 6. And sidebars takes the lead over motions for mistrials. So far, we have 5 motions for mistrials in this trial and 6 sidebars. Woo!
It's all right, and so the exhibit is marked defense exhibit number 2.
It's marked number 2, Your Honor. We'll offer it in a moment. Now, ma'am, fair to say, at this moment in time, you would not have had an opportunity to see the things that are displayed in in States 12, right? Because you're behind that car that's depicted in the photograph, correct?
Yes.
So you can't say whether that's a fair and accurate depiction of what took place on the front of the car as you're driving past it behind the car.
Correct.
Okay. And to that point, we hear on that 911 call that the state played of you, you say something to the effect of they stuffed weed in his mouth. Do you recall saying that?
Yes, I do.
But to be fair, you wouldn't have been able to see anything of the sort because you had already passed the car by the point that the man was on the ground, right?
Correct.
And you didn't see anyone stuffing weed in the man's mouth while they were in traffic, did you?
No, I did not.
And you didn't see anyone get out of the vehicle and run over to the man on the ground and put weed in his mouth, did you?
No, I sure didn't.
Okay, so when you say that on the video, that's not a present sense impression of yours. It's not something you saw with your own eyes. It's just what you assumed based on seeing a baggie of marijuana next to his body.
I saw the marijuana stuffed in his mouth when I went to go see the victim. So the marijuana was already stuffed in his mouth. I did see a little bag of marijuana next to the victim.
But as to how it got there, you don't have any personal knowledge.
No,
He could have eaten it for all you know.
maybe.
You indicated that you started to observe this situation when your vehicle was behind the black car in traffic, correct?
Repeat that again. I'm
When
sorry.
you were in traffic on the access
Mhm.
road, you were behind him. That's when you first noticed there was something going on.
Correct.
And you also indicated in your call that you weren't quite sure about the color of the vehicle, but then you heard somebody else say it was black, and that's what you tell the operator. Do you remember that?
No, I recall black vehicle, that it was a black vehicle in front of us. I just didn't know what kind of vehicle it
Whether it
was.
was a Kia or a Ford.
If it was a Kia or what, but I did hear other people around. Yes.
Okay. You indicated to the 911 operator that you were driving, but you said that your husband was driving.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's not a major point, but do you actually recall which one it was?
My husband was driving.
Okay.
Yes.
So you noticed that all the individuals in the vehicle were Hispanic, or at least that's what you thought from your vantage point?
At least that's what I believed.
Okay.
Yes.
And you gave a statement previous where you indicated you didn't know the race of the person who you believe was shooting the gun.
No.
But you didn't actually see anyone shoot, did you?
I saw the victim getting shot.
You actually saw him fall off the car
Correct.
from as your car is speeding by. You were craning your head around to look. Is
I
that-
wasn't speeding by. I was slowly going, passing while that was happening.
And you saw him get shot in the face.
Not in the face. I just saw him get shot.
You told the operator that he was shot in the head. You recall that?
Well, because he was laying on the ground. I saw the victim laying on the ground. That's why I said what I said.
Okay, so you're basing the idea that he was shot in the head on what you saw after the fact,
After.
kind of like the marijuana part.
Yes.
Okay. You saw him kick the windshield of the car, right?
Yes, that I did.
And that happened as your vehicle was passing the vehicle parked at the Chick-fil-A, right?
Yes. Everything happened so fast. As soon as they, turned into Chick-fil-A, the victim stood up and he stomped his foot on the windshield, shattered it. That's when the gentleman from the passenger side, the front passenger side, steps out. Half of his body, of course, just one foot out, leans over and just shoots him. And I just see him fall. And
You are on the left side of everything here. How did you see him having a foot on the ground?
that's when, after that, I just pass. We enter where the Jason's Deli sat.
And you don't know whether there were other guns in that car or not, right? You
No, I
didn't
don't.
see one way or the other. Okay. You indicated that you saw bumps on his head, but again, to be clear, those are things you saw from when you went to go see the body in the parking lot.
Correct.
And you don't know how many times the man stopped the windshield, because that's all going on as you're passing the car.
Yeah, witness. When he had one foot out, did he shake it all about? Ronan, thank you, Ronan. She was breaking 0 laws, perfectly innocent woman. Yeah, what she said on the 911 call, I believe, is what she actually saw and did. She was driving, but for some reason, she has changed her mind to her husband was driving. It would be, now this is 8 years later, but it would be very interesting to see if that intersection has some kind of camera that shows who was actually driving her car.
You didn't hear anything that the people were discussing or yelling in traffic clearly, did you?
No, I just heard the gentleman asking for help, yelling for help. That's it.
You were listening to music, right?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
You recall that you gave a statement previously to law enforcement and actually signed an affidavit about the events of that day. Do you remember that?
I was probably listening to music prior to that, and then of course I had rolled down my window because
May
I
I
can
approach
hear
you?
him yelling.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at what you wrote with the police that day? I'm going to show you what I've marked for identification as defendants 3. We take a look here. Is that your name, ma'am?
Yes,
And that's your correct date of birth?
correct.
Does this appear to be accurately the sworn signed statement that you gave to law enforcement?
Yes.
It's 2017. If I call your attention to these sentences here, you could just read them to yourself. Don't read them out loud. Let me know when you're finished.
Yes.
Okay. So fair to say you told the police back then that you were listening to music when you noticed the altercation, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, Christine. Good to have you here.
You indicated that the man that eventually you saw on the hood of the car originally got out of the vehicle and then he was sort of running around in traffic to different doors of the car, right?
I didn't say running around. I said he was pushed out of the car, which is the back passenger door. He was pushed out. Then they closed the door. They weren't able. He was trying to open the door. He went to the other side to try to open those other doors. They weren't opening. That's when he jumped on the hood.
Okay, so he was moving around in open traffic while that light was red, trying different ways of getting back into the car.
Yes.
It wasn't like he was pushed out and he started to run away.
No, he got pushed out, but he was trying to get back in.
Okay. And it was after those attempts that he got on the hood of the car, right?
Yes.
And no other witness has said this. You would assume that the people in front of this car would have seen it. And the people watching from the parking lot at the mall, that they would see him trying different door, but they didn't. But according to her, he was. This is all strange.
And then he stomped the windshield.
At the Chick-fil-A, in front of the Chick-fil-A, yes.
Okay. The May we approach you?
Yes.
5-minute recess. Remember my previous instructions.
All right.
So I would say this is a sidebar. Bringing us to sidebar counter 7. Mwah, 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 mwah. According to all the witnesses, the victim was in the middle of the back seat. So I'm not entirely sure how he was pushed out.
Do you just want us to report us to do it and then?
No, I want to. Yes, that's my phone.
You have needs to do it or do you?
When he comes back with a sign saying it's me taking it.
Well, you never know. That's all.
Okay, seems to be a new break of sorts. And she's off the stand. What's going on here? And she's back on the stand. And
What do you want to show off?
The CD and the person, I'll put that one in.
Oh, you just want that?
Okay, that's fine. Okay, I'll take the
Okay, you want to show
discount.
it? Yeah, that's okay. Judge, do you mind? They wanted to pull something off that defense exhibit 1 and offer that one video. Is that right?
We just pulled the one angle we think is the angle that, I want to show her this angle and make sure that's the one she saw. But that way we're not offering a bunch of different angles for no reason.
All right, so then
Ah.
you need to change your requests on the record because I think on the record you said for optional completeness, you want the entire video. So now you're not wanting the entire video,
Well, it is the entire video that she saw, but it's not 5 different videos from 5 different camera angles.
but that exhibit D2 is a full video. So if,
Full video of what has been truncated for states 12.
Judge, just to say plainly, the 3 videos that should play on 3 different tracks. That's, I think he's wanting just the angle that is presently in front of the.
oh, so okay. I have no idea, but it seems to be, well, no idea. I have some idea. So they all have extracted one angle from a video that originally showed 3 different cameras.
all right, so this is what I want. I want the record to be
Now, why did you mute that?
clarity of D2. Now my understanding is, okay, so
That is the okay, now. Let me check if
Background of the photograph. The photograph depicts a black car parked in the Chick-fil-A parking lot. I can't tell that there's anyone on the hood, but I guess if you look at it really carefully and you squint and you think about what we're here today to talk about, it's Mr. Saldivar on top of the hood of that car. It's a still of that video. The video itself is what, 5 minutes in length, 6 minutes in length? And I wanted that whole video to be introduced through optional completeness. Mr. Garahan hands me a CD, and this isn't Mr. Garahan's fault, but the CD has 3 different videos on it. And only one of them is pertinent to the question of what this witness was asked to authenticate through States 12. And so I just want to
oh, so they got a CD admitted into evidence as if it was only one video in it, but it is in actuality 3 different videos on it. That's strange. That's strange.
Video?
I just want to correct one thing there, and then I'll hand it back to you. When we were up at the bench, I did indicate to defense that it had the 3 different angles on there. I did tell that to defense. Just that defense exhibit, whatever its number it is, that it had all the camera angles of Chick-fil-A. So I just didn't want to mislead the court there. I did let them know that.
He did. Up to this point, nothing has been offered. The relief I'm seeking is that the footage that is the subject of the still photograph the state offered is admitted through the rule of optional completeness.
So this is what I want. Somebody explain to me, what am I saying that is incorrect? Defense exhibit number 2. State, was that defense exhibit number 2? Was that not the disc you had?
It was,
Yeah.
Judge.
And did we label that, or I say we, but did the defense label it as defense exhibit number 2?
They did, Judge.
Did defense say that they wanted, and defense, correct me if I'm wrong, you said you wanted to enter into evidence defense exhibit number 2, the disc that was handed to you from the state under the rule of optional completeness. Am I incorrect in that?
No,
That happened.
And then I called you all up to the bench and I said, are you all sure? Do y'all need to watch this to make sure it is what everybody says it is? Am I incorrect in that?
You're not incorrect.
All right. So I don't know why I have to keep repeating myself with regard to that. And now defense is saying, actually, from the state's exhibit that became the defense exhibit number 2, we don't want the entirety of that video. We only want this portion. Am I wrong in my
Yes,
interpretation?
that aspect of it, Your Honor, is.
All right. So thank you. So let's
No, no,
let's
it's
do
wrong.
that. Let's
Because
do
there's
that.
three videos.
Let's do that. Go
We're not
ahead.
asking for that. We never have.
No,
There
You
are
all
three.
just said that you're asking for only a portion of it. So
That's
go
wrong.
ahead and delete, remove whatever or redact whatever you need redacted to show that portion.
We can show counsel and the court.
It's
Real
a
quick, we've got the footage now.
Oh. Yeah, the defense kind of fucked up here. Because they asked for everything on that CD before they knew what was actually on the CD. They jumped the gun a bit. They jumped the gun. They should have asked, Your Honor, we need to check this CD. And all the things. Especially if the prosecution actually said, you have 3 angles here. Yeah, this is strange. And I assume this is the...
I would have to put in my day.
All right, we'll stay till you're finished with your testimony. Bring the jury in.
Your Honor, if we could just for one moment allow opposing counsel to see the exhibit we prepared so that we can actually effectuate this. I understand from the purpose of the record, the court's upset with me. The court's tone of voice indicates that. That's the demeanor.
Here's the
of court.
thing. Number one, I'm not upset with anybody. I don't get upset with counsels. What I can tell you is I don't like people over talking me. I don't like people who are not listening to my ruling or people who are not accepting my ruling and continue to push their points when I've already made my ruling. So the record can reflect, Cindy, that the court is not upset with the state's attorneys. The court is not upset with the defense attorneys.
And I
Now,
think the
that
record
is
needs
what
to
the
reflect
court-
that I
that is
don't
what the
agree
court
with the
is
court's
saying.
interpretation of that. But that's just how I see it.
All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna come back tomorrow. And the rule has been invoked. What that means is you're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone. You're not allowed to discuss or say anything about this trial until these proceedings are completed. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
And if you'll leave your mic behind, please.
Hello.
Judge Kidd, I didn't know what time you told the witness.
We will be back tomorrow at 1:30.
1:30.
Yes, all right, thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Oh.
See you all back at 1:30. Whatever y'all need to do with the video, you have until 1:30 tomorrow.
Boom. All right. That was an interesting day. That was an interesting... The witnesses are telling... Now, it's normal for witnesses to tell different stories. Eyewitness testimony is unreliable at best. But when they don't even agree on who's actually in the car, then it's... Yeah, that's not good. That's not good at all. Let's see here. And that... Let's see here. Let's see here on day 3, she said 1:30. Okay, so she had morning docket. And then, so we are going directly into afternoon docket, I presume. All right, up there. Sound. Yeah, Why are all my trials clusterfucks? I even in Judge Boyd's court, but not due to Judge Boyd, I believe. In this case, it was the defense who jumped the gun on getting. They assumed this CD had only one video or one angle of the video. Yeah, I really know how to pick them. Oh, but let's see here. Day 3. Let's see when they actually start. There they are, and it is
Oh, yes, we're ready.
All right, for the jury.
same witness, Ana Delgado. Damn, we're catching up fast. Now day 4 has already started, I think.
All right, everyone, please be seated. And just for the record, if you could restate your name. Yes, please.
Ana Delgado.
All right, you're still under oath, and I believe we were still on cross defense.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Ms. Delgado. Just to briefly recap, yesterday you testified that you were leaving your employment at Papa Do's when you saw this incident take place, right?
Correct.
And that your vehicle was behind this black Kia that you saw.
Correct.
You saw a struggle inside the Kia, right?
Well, I thought that they were just playing around.
You thought they were playing around?
Yes.
Okay.
As far as how I can see it from behind.
Okay, gotcha. You didn't see any guns brandished at that time while they were in the car.
No.
You eventually saw someone get pushed out of the car, correct?
Correct.
Believe that all the occupants of the vehicle were Hispanic, right?
On my phone call? Yes.
Okay. And you later gave a statement to police where you said that you didn't know the race of the shooter, right?
Correct.
You also indicated you didn't remember what the shooter was wearing, right?
I think he was wearing like a sweater that I recall.
Fair to say your recollection
Like a
back in
hoodie.
2017 was better than it would be today. You recall giving a written statement to the police back then?
Not of what he was wearing, but I do recall a statement that I did.
You recall telling the police you didn't know what he was wearing back then?
No, I didn't.
May I approach you?
Yes.
So I'll show you what I've already marked for identification as defendants 3. You recognize your name and date of birth here, correct?
Correct.
And you recall signing this document back in 2017?
Mhm.
And I'm so sorry, Ms. Delgado.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'm going to call your attention to page 2 of that statement. I'd like you to just take a look at this paragraph. Let me know when you finished reading it.
Okay.
So you'd agree that back then you told officers that you didn't know what he was wearing?
Yes.
Okay. And we hear you on that call say that they put weed in his mouth, but you've acknowledged that you didn't see anyone put marijuana in the man's mouth.
I did not see anyone put marijuana, but when I went to go see the body, there was marijuana in his mouth.
Understood. You also say that you saw the man on the hood of the car kicking the windshield, right?
Correct.
And
I mean, through all this, if he was yelling while on the hood of the car, holding on, stomping, and he was shot, when did the weed get in his mouth? Because the car drove off.
when you first saw the black Kia and the people messing around or playing around in the car, you and your husband were listening to music. Recall that?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness.
No question, John.
Is this witness excused or subject for recall?
Excused by the defense, Your Honor.
All right, the rule has been invoked. You're not allowed to view or anything or talk about this trial while the trial is occurring. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, you may step down, remove the microphone.
I mean, now this is unfortunate for the witness. She had to put in a day to her employer to get back here this day. and it was for 3 minutes. Oh, yeah, that's not fun. Now they did start at 1:30, so she could have worked the morning. But again,
State, you may call your next witness.
The state calls C. Inwood.
And Your Honor, defendants 2 is withdrawn.
All right. Defense exhibit number 2, is that the video? All right.
yeah, I would assume. So all the hustle the day before about completeness, yeah, they are no longer interested in it. Which also means that since the state didn't introduce it with this witness and the defense withdraws it, but all they have is that fuzzy still from it. Okay. Maybe the prosecution will try again. I don't know. Okay. Here's next witness.
Can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes, ma'am. All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so that the members of the jury can hear. If you'll state your name and spell your last name.
Catherine Imler, M as in Mike, L-E-R.
All right, state, you may proceed.
Ms. Imler, back in 2017, did you have a different name?
I did.
What was that?
Andrews.
And back in 2017, how were you employed?
I was a crime scene investigator for the city of San Antonio.
Okay. And as a crime scene investigator for the city of San Antonio, what was your title, or what kind of training did you have to undergo to become a crime scene investigator?
Crime scene investigator training requires 400 hours of in-classroom training, along with 5 weeks of rides with a senior crime scene investigator.
And are you trained in evidence collection and preservation?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long were you employed with the city of San Antonio?
Just under 7 years.
And on April 23rd of 2017, were you employed as a crime scene investigator with the city of San Antonio?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall what shift you were working?
B shift.
And do you recall what time that was?
That was a 2 p.m. to a 10 p.m. shift.
And on that day, were you dispatched to 27 Northeast Loop 410?
I was.
And was that location located in Bexar County, Texas?
Yes.
Do you recall what type of location that was?
It was a Chick-fil-A restaurant.
And do you recall why you were dispatched to the location?
I was dispatched to assist another CSI that was processing a shooting.
And what was that CSI's name?
Kimberly Wong.
And just so the jury's aware, can you explain what the abbreviation CSI stands for?
Crime scene investigator.
And do you recall the SAPD case number associated with this case?
I'd have to see my report.
So you wrote a report back then?
Yes.
All right. Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
No. All right, now I'm showing you what's been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit number 13. Do you recognize this document?
It would be so funny if she doesn't.
Showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 13 for identification purposes. Do you recognize this document?
I do.
All right, and is that your name contained on the document?
It is.
And was that your badge number back in 2017?
Yes.
And this is a fair and accurate version of your report?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
you've reviewed this before today, correct?
Yes.
All right. And would it help refresh your memory if you were able to refer to it during your testimony?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Just make sure you don't read exactly from it, but if you need to refresh your memory, you can look at it.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
All right. You know, if you can take a look at that and just let me know what the SAPD case number that was associated with the case was.
The SAPD case number is SAPD 17089350.
All right. And is there an incident number that was associated, or CFS case number associated with the call?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is that?
It is SAPD-2017-0424-102.
All right. And do you recall, or can you describe the scene that you encountered once you arrived at the location?
Yes, when I arrived at the location, I observed a deceased male with a yellow tarp over him. Parking lot was fairly empty. It was contained.
Do you recall what other crime scene investigators you were working with on that day?
Yes, Kimberly Wong and Matt Flores.
All right. And when you arrived on scene, had a shell casing been located?
No, ma'am.
All right. Ultimately, do you recall who was able to locate the shell casing?
Yes, ma'am.
And who was that?
I identified the shell casing.
And in preparation, you met with me before this to go over your reports. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and you've had a chance to review some body worn camera footage that contained with you.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 14 and 15. Do you recognize what is contained in State's Exhibits 14 and 15?
Yes.
And are they a fair and accurate depiction of the scene on that day?
Yes.
Okay. I'm tendering to defense for inspection. State offers States 13 and 14 and 7.
No objections.
All right, States Exhibit 14 and 15 are admitted without objection.
May we publish, Your Honor?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
Now,
check.
on State Exhibit number 14, can you see that up there?
Yeah, I'm looking at that on KSAT if they show this at least, and they're not. Yeah.
The jury, what is depicted in State Exhibit number 14?
Yes, you can see the yellow tarp, the end of it on the bottom. There's a patrol officer and then myself.
Again, this
Yes.
what I'm pointing out is you.
Yes.
And State Exhibit number 15.
This one, again, you can see the yellow tarp in the back. That is Kimberly Wong. And then I'm also in that image.
And so this individual that I'm pointing to right here, who is that?
Kimberly Wong.
Okay, and this individual I'm pointing to, who is that?
That's me.
Do you recall, so ultimately, you're the person that locates the shell casing and points it out to Kimberly Wong and the officers on scene, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And do you recall what kind of shell casing it was?
It was a 9mm.
All right. Did you prepare a crime scene sketch in this case?
I did.
Right. Now, I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 16. Do you recognize what that is?
Yes,
And did you participate in the participation of this diagram?
I did.
And were you familiar with the locations and objects contained in the diagram at the time of the preparation?
Yes.
Okay, and is State's Exhibit number 16 a fair and accurate depiction of the layout of the crime scene as it appeared at the time of your investigation?
Yes.
Tendering to defense for inspection at this time, state officers, State's Exhibit number 16.
No objections.
States Exhibit number 16 is admitted.
Permission to publish.
Granted.
So briefly, can you explain to the jury the process for preparing the sketch and obtaining the measurements that are obtained within the sketch?
Yes, ma'am. So after the items of evidence are identified, a sketch is completed, noting any structure.
Yeah, and let me just quickly show you. This is the sketch they are talking about. But again, KSAT, you don't show actual body cam video. And yeah. So that's the sketch.
Or any information that may be able to provide detail about the location, in this case, a parking lot. Each item is measured from 2 points of reference using a wheel, measuring wheel. And then you take two measurements, one, in this case, maybe from a curb line to that item of evidence, and then from another curb line to that item of evidence.
And I'm going to zoom in on State's Exhibit number 16. All right, and we can see it reflected within your sketch on State's Exhibit number 16. There is something labeled E1. Do you recall what E1 represents?
E1 represents the shell casing that Kimberly Wong marked with a placard.
Okay. And is Kimberly Wong the person that sees E1?
No, I first identified it and then she put the placard down.
Okay. And at the scene, you earlier stated that there was a deceased victim identified. Is that correct?
Yes, there was a deceased victim on scene.
Okay. And as part of your duties as a crime scene investigator, had you previously been trained on collecting gunshot residue samples?
Yes,
Okay. Can you explain to the jury if that's something that would have been done in this case
yes.
and why is that?
Anytime that there is either evidence or suspicion of a gunshot residue tests are collected from anybody that's possible, even the deceased victim. And, sometimes they want it from witnesses, but in this case, the deceased victim.
And what does the gunshot residue kit contain?
It contains two vials, one for your left, one for your right hand. It contains gloves, and it also contains a document that you have to fill out, basically answering questions if you're able to. But sometimes you can't answer the questions.
Okay. And can you just explain to the jury how you go about collecting the sample
Yes. In general, or in this case?
in this case?
Okay, so in this case, the medical examiner arrives on location and basically provides the permission to collect it. You again use one vial for their left hand, one vial for the right hand. It has like a sticky pad on it, and you essentially tap the back side of the hand, sometimes down the wrist, in between the fingers, on both hands.
Okay. And that's what you did in this case?
That is what I did.
Okay. And so did you follow all the appropriate instructions and procedures?
Yes, ma'am.
And you collected samples from both hands, is that correct?
Yes.
And were you wearing gloves when you did this?
Yes.
Okay. And after collection, what do you do with the sample?
I secure the sample. It has its own red label, and then you place it into another envelope, tape it, identify it with your badge number and initials, and then turn it into the property room.
Okay. And is this evidence seized under SAPD case number 17089350?
Yes.
Okay. And when you seized that, well, if you wanted to look at your report, was that marked as E1 in your report?
In my report, it was identified as E1.
Okay. And when you seized it, did you make any unique markers on it?
Yes, my initials and my badge number and the date.
I don't believe they collected anything in solo cups in this case.
All right, now I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 17. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
Okay, and is that physical evidence that was seized under SAPD 17089350?
It was.
Okay, and is State's Exhibit number 17 labeled as E1 in your report?
It is.
Okay, and you've seen this before, State's Exhibit number 17?
Yes.
And when and where did you first see it?
When I collected it, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
On
Yeah,
scene,
on
is that
scene,
correct?
yep.
Okay, and does it have any unique identifying markers on there?
Yeah, it does have my initials, my badge, the date. I also indicated a biohazard, and then of course the evidence ID label.
Okay, and is that how you're able to recognize that it's the same thing that you seized back in 2017?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to approach and come look at it?
Sure.
Tendering to defense for inspection, but at this time, state offers State's Exhibit number 17.
Your Honor, can I briefly void the witness?
Yes.
Afternoon, how are you?
Hi.
This is labeled as E1 on your GSR kit,
Yes.
correct? Okay, that's different than the E1 on the sketch that we see on the overhead?
That's correct.
Okay, so they're both E1 for these
Yes.
purposes, but this is just simply the gunshot residue testing on the hands of the deceased.
Yes, sir.
Okay, no objections.
State's Exhibit 17 is admitted.
Can I?
Yes.
That was contained inside of State's Exhibit number 17. Can you explain what that is?
Yes, this envelope is the actual gunshot residue test. It has the contents of the vial. Before you open it, it would have gloves and the document and everything in there as well.
Okay. And just on the front of that, do you have
I have never seen a trial where the actual vial and residue. I've ever only seen them. I mean, this is the report. Huh.
a unique identifying mark on that?
Yes, my first initial, last name, my badge number, and the associated case number.
We pass the witness hearing.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. So I want to call your attention back to the sketch that's on the overhead.
Yes, sir.
In that overhead, right, I guess directly east of the head of the deceased, you have a notation E1 that's circled. Do you see that?
Yes.
And in this sketch, E1 is the shell casing that you saw?
Yes.
Okay. And E2 would be the baggie of marijuana that you found?
I would have to reference Kimberly Wong's report for her
Okay.
items of evidence.
Let me ask you this real fast. In preparation for your testimony today, have you reviewed any of the reports that weren't authored by you?
I did get a chance to take a look, but I didn't read it in detail.
Okay, and when you say to take a look, are you referring to the property report or a specific report of Ms. Wong?
The crime scene report.
May I approach? I'm sorry, Your Honor, I forget.
No
You
problem.
don't need me to ask that.
No, you all can approach.
I mean, it's always natural for the prosecution to prepare witnesses. I don't think it is usual for them to be prepared on anything other than the reports they themselves were writing. So why are the prosecution showing this witness reports from other people? That's strange.
I just want to show you for identification defendants 4. Is this a property report that was generated in association with the same case number 170-89350?
Yes.
Is this what you're referring to that you reviewed separately from your own report?
No, sir. It would look like this, the crime scene search report.
I see. But this was authored by you, correct?
Yes.
Okay, but you reviewed one by Ms. Wong that would look exactly like
Right.
this. Okay, but you did not review the.
No, I didn't see that.
Understood.
So they asked her to review a report by somebody else, not the report she herself wrote, or one of the. What's going on here?
Speaking of the report that you have in front of you that you authored, you don't mention. Is there a key here that tells us what E1 and E2 are on your sketch?
No.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that part you're relying upon from your memory.
That part, yes, but also Kimberly Wong's report would indicate the items of evidence.
Understood, because as you were explaining, you saw the shell casing in the baggie of marijuana, but Kimberly Wong is the evidence technician who actually bagged those pieces of evidence to go back to the station for review, right?
Correct.
Okay, so did you, in your report, you do not notate that you gave Ms. Wong any kind of a list or an index of the evidence pieces that you identified in this sketch, right?
Correct. Because
Ms. Wong applied her own evidence labels to those pieces of evidence when she processed them, right?
correct.
So your E1 may or may not be the same as her E1. Your E2 may or may not be the same as her E2. Fair to say?
Right.
Okay. So, who is Allison Bustamante?
She is another crime scene investigator.
Okay. And was she present at this scene?
No,
But she was involved in this investigation at another scene related to it, right?
I have no knowledge of what was processed outside of this scene, so I'm not sure if she was or not.
Okay, understood. So would it surprise you to know that there have been multiple items of evidence entered in as E1s, E2s, E3s, et cetera?
That would not surprise me.
Okay, that happens fairly common.
Yes, that is the standard.
That is the standard.
Yes,
In other words, your story is your story. What you did is in chronological order of your observation, E1, E2, E3, and then somebody else was sent to the scene and they have their own E1, E2, E3.
correct.
Eventually, you all put barcodes on pieces of evidence to better identify them, right? When is the barcoding process done?
We create the barcode back at the, we have a crime scene lab, and that's where you enter the information into the database and it will print a physical label.
And you were not involved in the creation of any of the barcodes for any evidence seized from any scene in this case, right?
Just my own.
You just your own.
Yes,
Okay, so you would have created the E1 barcode?
yes.
Okay. Is there a reason why ultimately that 9mm shell casing would be labeled with a barcode under Kimberly Wong on the final property report?
Kimberly Wong was assigned the evidence collection. So anybody on scene, all CSIs on scene are searching the scene. If we've observed irrelevant evidence, then we can identify it. But the CSI in charge, in this case, this was Kimberly Wong's, she was the primary crime scene investigator, and it was her duty that day to collect the evidence.
Okay, but you created the barcode for this evidence,
I created the barcode for the gunshot residue test.
for the gunshot residue test.
Yes,
Okay, which is not E1 on the drawing.
that is correct.
It is E1 on your report, right?
Can you clarify, sir? Are you asking?
You have your report in front of
I
you,
do.
correct?
Mhm.
If you take a look at it, I want to make sure I'm not mistaken. You advise in the report that you collected the gunshot residue test, right?
Yes,
And then you also advise I collected E1 as stated above. Do
yes,
you recall writing that?
yes.
Is the E1 as stated above in this report that you authored the gunshot residue test, or is it the 9mm shell casing?
The gunshot residue test.
Okay, so your E1 on your report is the gunshot residue test.
Yes,
The E1 on the sketch is the shell casing.
yes.
So why did they show the sketch if it doesn't reflect what she actually authored?
You have no supplemental reports explaining that you called two different things E1 through the course of your role in this investigation.
No.
When would you have created the barcode for E1?
When I returned back to the office and I entered the information,
And that barcode was for the gunshot residue testing swabs.
yes, sir.
So you did not create a barcode for a 9mm shell casing.
No.
Pass away.
Is this witness excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
The rule has been invoked. You're not allowed
Everybody
to
gets an
discuss your
E1.
testimony with anyone while this trial is proceeding. Make sure you remove your.
Oh, Auto Doctor asked, what is the whole controversy of 9mm versus 40 caliber? No, the first person who actually did the measurements and testing on the shell casing said it was a 40 caliber shell casing. Then at some point, they went back and rechecked it and discovered it's not a 40 caliber, it's a 9mm shell casing. Yeah, that's the quality of that crime scene tester person thingy.
Microphone, and then you're excused.
Thank you.
And if there's anything that's been entered into evidence, if you'll leave it with the court report.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, state, call your next witness.
State call Sergeant Mount.
All right, next witness. And here's an
You
active
solemnly
call.
swear affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so that members of the jurors can hear. And if you will state your name and spell your last name, please.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Robert Mount, last name Mount.
All right, state, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. And is it Sergeant Mount now?
Yes, sir.
And Are you employed by the SAPD?
Yes, sir.
And how long have you been employed by the SAPD?
14 years. Next month will be 15.
Congratulations on 15.
I appreciate it.
And I'm assuming you go about becoming an SAPD officer, you have to go through certain training. What type of training, briefly, did you have to go through to become an SAPD just officer?
Yes, sir. So I went to the San Antonio Police Department's training academy, and during the academy, became a state certified peace officer through the state of Texas. And during that training, we went over various topics such as the Texas Penal Code, the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, and the San Antonio Police Department's General Manual, which goes over policies and procedures.
And again, you stated you've been with the SAPD for 14 years.
Yes, sir.
And when you initially joined up, you were a patrol officer or just an officer, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And then is there anything between an officer and a sergeant?
Yes, sir. So it was about 4 years in, I became a field training officer. And at that point, I was responsible for training new officers out of the academy.
And can you describe to the jury what a field training officer is?
Sure. So a field training officer, essentially officers will go through the training academy. Once they graduate, they have to ride in the field with a field training officer for a period of time. And they go through different phases of training. And then once they get through those phases of training, they're evaluated and then they're released on their own as long as they pass those different phases.
So a field training officer is somebody that assists other officers in I guess their duties.
Yes, sir.
And in a sense trains them.
Yes, sir.
And is that commonly referred to as FTO?
Yes, sir.
And after you became FTO, then you become the sergeant. And how long have you been a sergeant?
Well, in between there, I was a family violence detective,
Oh, okay.
and then I became a supervisor, a sergeant. And I've been a sergeant since October of 23.
Thank you. I'd like to reference April 23rd, 2017, roughly a little after 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That's why you're here today.
Yes, sir.
Do you recall that day?
Yes, sir.
And do you recall being dispatched to a certain location in San Antonio?
Yes, sir.
And what location was that, and why were you dispatched?
We received a call for a shooting in progress, and we went to the location of 410 and McCullough is where the calls were coming out.
And this location, what are your initial duties at that time?
So for us at that point, acting in the capacity of a training officer, our job basically, we were taking report responsibility. So when we got there, we were trying to gather information that was needed in order to establish, number one, whether or not a crime was committed, try to get the elements of the offense, and try to determine what evidence may or may not be available.
And you stated we. You mean all the officers at the scene, or can you describe to the jury what you mean by that?
Sure. So I was riding as a front seat passenger. I had Officer Chase Thackerson. He was riding with me at that time. And so we went to that location so that way he would be able to handle that incident.
And were you just riding along with him, or were you had other duties associated to you with Thackerson?
Sure. So I was evaluating him and what he was doing. And so I was acting in the capacity as a field training officer on that date.
So exactly what you just described to the jury about the FTO.
Yes, sir.
So when you did arrive at the scene, what did you specifically do as you arrived?
So when we first arrived on scene, I observed that there was a complainant that was apparently deceased in the parking lot of the Chick-fil-A. And when I got in there, I observed that there were other various people in the area. And typically when we have somebody that passes away, just out of respect, we try to cover that person. And so I got with one of the emergency medical technicians from the San Antonio Fire Department and asked if they had a yellow sheet so that way we could cover the complainant.
And did you obtain that yellow sheet?
Yes, sir.
And what did you do with that yellow sheet?
I took the yellow sheet and we covered the complainant so that way he wasn't exposed in the parking lot for all the passerbys. And we're right there on the 410 access road. So we wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to be an unnecessary distraction, but try to limit the number of onlookers that would naturally go to that type of call.
And I guess did media ever show up at the scene?
I don't recall seeing the media. I believe the supervisor at the time might have spoken with somebody, but I don't recall seeing the media.
But you yourself did not speak to any media.
Correct.
And were there any, you stated other individuals at the scene. Were there any other people of interest, such as witnesses at the scene?
Sure. So there were witnesses that were already separated at the scene by the time that we had gotten there. And I had advised Officer Thackerson that we needed to try to get the general circumstances of what happened. So we needed to identify which witnesses might have had a thorough account of the event. So that way we could give the homicide unit a good starting point for their investigation.
So I guess initially y'all speak with some of these witnesses.
Officer Thackerson did.
And were you present during some of these individuals speaking with Officer Thackerson?
I was there, yes, sir.
And as you progress through there, are there any other duties associated with this scene?
As far as searching for any additional evidence and things like that, when I arrived, I asked one of the officers that was already there if they had found any shell casings. It was believed that this individual had been shot, and I asked if they had found anything, and I didn't get an answer, and so I wanted to go look for myself to see if I could locate anything. So that's when I went over towards where the complainant was in the parking lot and started looking around to see if I could find a shell casing. And then at that point, one of the CSIs had shown up, Catherine, and when she got there, I guess her eyes are better than mine. She immediately saw a casing that was on the ground that fell into a crack near where the deceased was at.
And subsequently, did you view that shell casing that she had pointed out?
Yes, sir.
And did you do anything, well, one, did you collect that shell casing?
I did not. No, sir.
Then, well, one, is that one of your duties, is to collect evidence at the scene?
No, sir. That would be for the crime scene investigators.
And did you ever, the shell casing, were you able to identify anything on it?
Sure. So I kneeled down next to where the casing was located so I could try to read the head stamp because I wanted to see if we could identify what caliber of weapon was used. If it was, in this particular circumstance, when I kneeled down, I was able to read that it was a Blazer Luger 9mm round.
This is interesting. I wonder if this is in any of his report, because in the defense opening, they said that the first person who actually, as a technician who actually checked, said it was a 40 caliber. Now here he is saying he read 9mm. So this
And
is
is
so
that
strange.
I guess, a caliber of a round?
Yes, sir. It's a 9mm round, and Blazer is just the manufacturer.
And at that point, after that, were you tasked with any other duties?
It's just general oversight of what Officer Thackerson was doing, making sure that if he had any questions, I was there to answer him. By the time that he gets to me and his training, he's getting ready to be released on his own, so he knows generally what to do. So I'm more of an oversight just to try to see what he's doing, if we need to correct anything. He was generally doing everything that he needed to be done. But then while we were waiting for, I don't know if the homicide investigator had already gotten there or not, but then I know the manager of the Chick-fil-A had shown up, and I briefly went to speak with him because he claimed that he had video surveillance that would have captured the parking lot area where the complainant was located.
So, did you ever view this video at that time?
Yes, sir. We went inside the location and he was able to access it on his laptop.
And with your own visible eyes, you were able to view the video that he had of the, I guess, of the location or the area.
Yes, sir.
And did y'all see anything of interest on this video?
Yes, sir.
What do you remember seeing on the video?
So the laptop, the screen was fairly small, but from what we could see, you could see a black car enter the parking lot of the Chick-fil-A. It appeared the complainant was on the hood of the car, and then the front passenger exits the vehicle, and he appeared to have a white shirt, and then you see the complainant fall off the hood of the vehicle, and then the black car takes off. The passenger got back in the car, and then the vehicle takes off behind the Chick-fil-A.
So at that time, did y'all at least have a suspect vehicle?
Yes, sir. We knew it was a black 4-door sedan.
And were you aware of what, I guess, not model, I guess model or brand or?
There was some different information on make, model, and so we didn't definitively know. From what we could see on the camera, mind you, it was a distorted view, so it wasn't 100% clear on what the make or model of that vehicle was, but we were just trying to get a best guess at that point so we can have officers be on the lookout for that particular vehicle.
And did you write a report for this incident?
No, sir. Officer Thackerson documented everything.
And why would you not?
Right. So as a field training officer, generally the officer that's handling the report, the probationary in this case, he includes that we were with him in this particular incident, but he's doing everything. He's interviewing the witnesses. He's handling the workload, and I'm just observing at this point. If it was earlier in his phase of training, I would have been more hands-on with him, but he's towards the end, getting ready to be released on his own. And so at that point, he's handling most of the responsibilities.
So at the time back when this incident happened, would you have reviewed his report?
Yes, sir. So generally what happens, and in this case, we went down to the homicide offices, and before his report was submitted, we had the homicide investigator, he reviewed it, and I reviewed it as well.
And I'm going to ask you, when did you review it for, before this time, of the last, say, few months or so, for this trial?
Yes, sir.
And that was Officer Thackerson's report?
Yes, sir.
And do you recall the SAPD number associated with this case?
I don't recall the full case number, no, sir.
I want to show you what's been marked State Exhibit number 18. And if you don't mind, just flip through there and tell me if you're familiar with that.
Yes, sir. This is the report that Officer Thackerson wrote.
Thank you. And on this report, is there an SAPD number associated with the case?
Yes, sir.
And can you please tell me what that SAPD number is?
Yes, sir. It's case number SAPD 17089350.
Thank you. Now, everything that you just testified to, is that something that would have been, well, one, I guess I should ask this first. Did you have a body worn camera on this particular day?
Yes, sir.
And everything that you just testified to, where they would have been depicted on these, on this body worn camera?
Yes, sir.
I wonder if him looking at this shell casing.
I'm going to show you what's marked state exhibit number 19 and number 20. If you can just look at that, if you need to take them out of the envelope, that's fine. If you can identify that and let me know.
Yes, sir.
And how are you able to identify these discs?
I've put my identifying information on both of these discs.
And have you viewed both of these discs?
Yes, sir.
And do they fairly and accurately represent your body worn camera that day?
Yes, sir.
And the only difference between these discs and the ones that well, I guess the camera, is that these don't have audio. Is that correct?
Correct. These have been muted.
Okay. And let me ask you this: there's two of them, and I think we discussed this before. Why are there two discs?
At one point, I had gone to use the restroom, and for obvious reasons, I turned the camera off while I was in the bathroom.
And so that's why we have two different.
Yes, sir.
cameras.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And let me ask you this: when you went to the restroom, was it earlier on in the investigation of you at the scene, or was it later on?
It was towards the end when we were inside the Chick-fil-A. The manager was there to review the video.
Okay, thank you. Your Honor, the state offer state exhibit number 19 and 20. Lieutenant defense for any objection?
No objection.
State exhibit 19 and 20 are admitted.
Maybe published? Your Honor?
Yes.
And again, Your Honor, we're going to be doing this from the hard drive of the computer for purposes of time. And if there's no objection, it's the exact copy of what we have on the disk.
That's fine.
You may proceed.
Thank you. For the purposes of the records, I am going to start this at the VLC 727.
Yeah, and again, watching it on the other. And they are not showing the body cam.
The yellow sheet that we saw in this video.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I know this court does not have Zoom feed for the displays.
Okay, this gallery is paused at 1014 VLC. Is there anything in this video that is of interest?
Yes, sir.
And what would that be?
The casing that I eventually was called attention to is actually in the crack or the crevice right there next to the victim.
I'm going to point out that you're saying this area right here.
Yes, sir.
Forward it.
Needed to be done.
And the person to the right in this video?
That was one of the witnesses.
Yeah, I'm going to skip to cross-examination.
Potentially touch DNA. In the photographs that the state just showed you, I couldn't quite tell. Did you physically touch the 9mm shell casing?
No, sir. I just kneeled down so I could get a better look at the head sample.
Okay. And that's, I assume the reason you didn't pick it up and look at it is because you know that it would be important to check and see if there are fingerprints on that casing, right?
Yes, sir. It was going to have to be processed.
And potentially touch DNA, skin cells left on the shell casing,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
Because you didn't pick it up, I gather you didn't smell the shell casing to see if it was fresh burnt powder.
No, sir.
And I mean, you've been an officer with SAPD 14 years. It's not uncommon to find spent shell casings lying around all over the place in San Antonio, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you look.
That's actually a good point. Why would the shell casing be right there? But I mean, if it is a shell casing right beside the body, yes, you can draw the conclusion. But if there are shell casings all over the place, and the defense can show there was a recent shooting at that place, then the shell casing can come into question.
looked at the head stamp and you noted that it was a Blazer Luger 9mm.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned that you were sort of supervising and at the end stages of training up another officer who was in field training status, right?
Yes, sir.
And we see at different points on the video you interacting with that field training officer, and I gather you're giving him advice.
Yes, sir.
You, in particular, talking about the importance of delegating responsibility in a crime scene this large.
Yes, sir.
Because there are several witnesses, many eyewitnesses, and if you were making one officer ask all of those people questions, it would take all day, right?
Yes, sir.
So because of that delegation, I guess there is, of course, a risk that some people don't get spoken to because you can't be watching what everyone else is doing while you're asking questions, right?
It's a possibility.
Can we pull up his video at 24:55? Yes.
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 Folks, hit that thumbs up. Helps the channel.
That gentleman, that at 24:56. That's 24:56. So that gentleman you're speaking with there, do you recall his name?
I would have to refer to the report.
Okay. Do you have that report with you?
Yes, sir.
Would you mind checking for me? Refresh your memory if you can.
I believe that's Mr. Michael Arrington.
Okay. You identified Ms. Wong on the footage, correct?
Yes, sir.
She's an evidence technician.
She was at that time, yes, sir.
Okay. And did you see her physically collect a shell casing?
I don't believe so.
Okay. So you don't know whether she followed the protocols that would be needed or not.
I didn't observe her, I don't believe.
Fair. You go in with the manager and look at the Chick-fil-A surveillance, right?
Yes, sir.
And you remarked that the camera that Chick-fil-A had a distorted view, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So while it showed enough for you to say that you were looking at the offense, you were looking at someone being shot off the hood of a car, the specifics of that are things you can't be very certain about looking at the footage, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you indicated that you believe the person who got out of the car and fired the shot was wearing a white shirt.
That's what it appeared to be, yes, sir.
Okay. But when you say it appeared to be, you acknowledge that it's a very bad piece of footage.
It could have been better, yes, sir.
Okay. I'll take it. Could have been better. Can we go to
It
3800?
could be that Ms. Wong is
Yes.
no longer with us, and that's why they are asking other people about her reports. That's actually good.
So here you're just speaking with your field training officer, correct?
With a probationary officer, yes, sir.
Okay. And at one point, you are giving him instructions about who's SP1, SP2, SP3, et cetera. Do you recall that?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Okay. And you instructed him that SP2 was to be noted as a Hispanic male. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
And SP2 was the person you were designating as the front passenger of the black Kia, correct?
Yes, sir.
Pass the witness.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Is this witness excused?
Yes, go state, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, the rule has been invoked. You're not allowed to discuss your testimony or review anything about this trial while the trial is proceeding. You can step down if you'll leave your microphone.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to give you a break till 3 p.m. The reason why I'm giving you a longer break is there are a couple of cases for my morning docket that I need to take care of, but they should be done fairly quickly. Remember my previous instructions. You are not allowed to discuss with each other what you've seen or start internally deliberating with yourself. You're not allowed to view anything about this trial. If you see anything, turn it off. You're not allowed to do any investigation. Does everyone understand? All right, everyone, please rise for the jurors.
All right.
All right, everyone, you may be seated. Hello.
What exactly did these witnesses say on the
And are you
stand?
ready on that, Mr. DeLeon? All right, Mr. Green.
Or you mean at the scene? Yeah, that I don't know, because for some reason they are not playing with sound anything from the body worn cameras.
Here. If you'll come forward, please.
Oh, she's taking another case?
Hello. Good morning. Well, afternoon. Yeah. Thank you for dressing appropriately for court. So the last time we were here, counsel, it had to do with there are multiple defendants, multiple videos. Do you know if you've received all the videos yet or not?
Judge, I looked yesterday, discovery, while there are videos, pictures. There is a reference in the prosecution of a surveillance video that I do not have. It's incredibly relevant. So, it's on discovery.
All right. And who was the prosecutor you're conferring with on this? Okay, that's okay. So then what we'll do is, if it's criminal trial division, I believe it is. So I believe this is a case that Jason or Megan will be handling. They're currently in a capital murder trial. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'm going to reset this and state on this one, Jamarian Greer, defense counsel tells me there are several co-defendants. So, and he said what he's missing is he's missing a surveillance video. So I'm going to reset this. We can do it the first week in May. Will that give you all enough time to see if you have the videos?
Yeah, that's just. Also, she's having.
Could you give me the remaining flat files you have over there, please? Deputy.
When do they come back with the actual trial? Ah, there you go. So she's pausing the trial to get a few other cases out of the way. Imagine if they did that during the YSL trial. Every time, okay. Yeah, the Judge Boyd is an exceptional in her efficiency. She wants cases to move on. If there is a break in the proceeding of a capital murder trial, she will handle other things on the docket. That's amazing. And here they are.
Swear affirm.
Next witness.
Can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you may have a seat. If you'll make sure to keep your voice up so that members of the juries can hear, and if you could state your name and spell your last name, please.
So Matthew Flores, Flores.
All right, state, you may proceed.
Detective Flores, how are you currently employed?
I'm employed with the San Antonio Police Department.
What unit are you currently with?
Right now, I'm working with the Robbery Task Force
How long have you been employed with SAPD?
since 2008.
Are you a certified peace officer?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
When you first started out, can you just briefly walk us through what unit you started out?
This is
Say
the
what?
Or what training
voir
did you under this?
We don't need that.
I believe it was the B shift.
Is that the midday shift?
Yes, ma'am.
And on April 23rd, 2017, were you dispatched to 27 Northeast Loop 410?
Yes, ma'am. I was assigned to that. Oh,
And thank you. Was that location located in Bear County, Texas?
yes, ma'am.
Do you recall what type of location that was?
It was a parking lot to a Chick-fil-A business.
Do you recall why you were dispatched there?
I was assigned there because CSI investigator requested my help.
And who would that CSI investigator be?
CSI Kimberly Wong.
Do you recall the SAPD case number associated with this case?
Not at the top. I'm like, if I can refresh my memory with my report.
Or did you prepare a report at the time of the offense or shortly thereafter that would help refresh your memory?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm showing you it's been marked for identification only as case exhibit number 23. Can you take a look at this document?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and do you recognize this document?
Yes, this is my report.
Okay, and you've seen it before, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and if we look at the second page, does that contain your name?
It is.
And is that your badge number at the time?
It is.
All right, and would this help refresh your memory if you need it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, if you do need to refresh your memory, if you could just read it and not read from it, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Now going back to the date of the offense, can you describe the scene that you encountered upon arrival at the location?
Yes, when I arrived, I remember several officers there, several citizens there. Crime scene tape was up. There were several patrol cars basically securing the crime scene.
And just to back up a little bit, what is the SAPD case number associated with this call?
That's going to be SAPD 1708-9350.
And you mentioned earlier that you were working with CSI Kimberly Wong. Do you recall any other CSIs that were assigned to that?
Yes, Catherine Andrews.
And so specifically regarding your role at the scene, what was your role at the scene as a CSI?
So I was requested at the scene just to record with a digital camcorder to document the scene and the evidence of the deceased.
And show you on the mark, police exhibit number 24. Can you take a look at that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And do you recognize what that is?
Yes, ma'am. It's a crime scene video that I observed on 1/30/25, which I marked with my initials and badge number.
Okay. And is that how you are able to confirm that what is contained upon the disc is the crime scene video that you took at the time of the offense?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it a fair and accurate depiction of the scene at the time?
It is.
And has it been altered in your knowledge to any way?
No, ma'am.
You're tendering to defense for inspection at this time. The state offers state's exhibit number 24.
No objections, Your Honor.
All right, State's Exhibit number 24 is admitted without objection.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Hi, Siobhan. Good to have you here. Oh, Judge. Oh, what's his name? Judge Fleischer. Yeah, he wouldn't. I don't think he would accept Prosecutor Love's antics. Yeah, thank you, Fleischer. Yeah, I don't think.
Can you just briefly explain to the jury what that is?
I don't think. I mean, I would love to see Prosecutor Love try what she does in Fulton County in their courtroom, in both Judge Boyd's and Judge Fleischer's courtroom. They would verbally spank the ever-living crap out of Prosecutor Love.
So this is what we call a photo board, just basic information, case number, my name and badge, the date, the district that that area was given, and then the camera, Golf Victor Charlie 5 GB.
Yeah, I'm going to skip to cross-examination.
Initials and badge number.
Okay, and you're identifying marks on there.
That it took.
Wait a minute, is it the sidebar?
Back here at 4.
Sure, I
Oh, something happened. I almost missed it.
Yes, ma'am.
And have they been altered in any way?
No, ma'am.
And then regarding state's exhibit number 32, can you go ahead and take a look at that for me?
Okay.
Do you recognize what that is?
Yes, this is CSI Wong's crime scene photographs, which I viewed on 1/30/25 with my initials and badge number.
Okay, and you're identifying marks on there. Is that how you're able to confirm that it's the same thing that you viewed previously?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and when you viewed them, are they fair and accurate depictions of the crime scene as you observed it on the offense date?
They are.
Have they been altered to your knowledge in any way?
No, ma'am.
Tendering to defense for inspection. State offers. State's exhibit.
Yeah, something must have happened to this Detective Wong that they are asking other cops to verify her reports.
Number 25 through 32 inclusive.
Hey, Mr. Jingles. Hello.
no objections as to this. Is the 20
25 through 30.
No objections to 25 through 31. May I briefly void iris to 32?
Yes.
Good afternoon, officer. How are you?
Good, sir.
You said that that this disc contains just still photographs?
Can I see the disc?
Yeah, they are asking, is this all that's
Yes, to
on
my
this
knowledge,
disc?
these are crime scene photographs from CSI Wong.
Okay. And you say from CSI Wong, in other words, you didn't take these photographs,
That's correct. I did not.
but you believe that these photographs were taken on the 23rd of April, 2017?
That's correct.
And you base that on your visual observation or based upon something you read from Kimberly Wong?
So I observed those photographs for pretrial purposes. And so that's our standard procedure at a scene. They take photographs. When it comes down to trial, I'll view the photographs if they were mine as well. But in this case, I did observe those photographs. If that's what you're asking.
Well, I'm asking, when you looked at these photographs, were these photographs something that you recognized because of things you recalled from physically being there on April 23rd, 2017?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay, so it wasn't based on just something you read from Ms. Wong that led you to believe that these were taken that day?
I was there at the scene. The photographs depict what I saw at the scene.
Your Honor, if I have just a brief recess to look at the disc and see its contents, I'm not sure I know exactly what's on it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. End of day one, they had a huge argument regarding disc with a video, where the defense jumped the gun on if it was only one video on the disc, and it turns out it was 3 angles of a video. And then on the morning of day 2, they they do now we're not having this into. So now they are actually inspecting the things that the prosecution is handing over.
I'm going to give you a brief break. We'll have us back here at 4. Remember my previous instructions.
And it did focus.
All right, now let's see.
And well, you should.
All right, so we're on the record, and there was something you wanted on the record, counsel?
Very briefly, Your Honor, and
Sure.
it's sort of an anticipatory objection.
Mhm.
Under 403, that was right at 25 minutes on Thursday afternoon that it took, I believe, under 403's prohibition of cumulative waste of time. It does use those words.
Mhm.
And it did focus considerably on morbid video of the deceased.
And counsel, I'm sorry to interrupt, but for the record, which exhibit?
This last video,
All right, and
which
this,
is State's Exhibit
I believe it's 24.
24, Your Honor.
okay.
I would at least like to ask through the court, tolerant, we didn't object. We patiently sat through it. I think they've seen enough in terms of repetitive pictures of the same thing. Perhaps the path of the vehicle was part of that, but it showed the same thing over and over and over again. I would only like to ask able counsel for the state that if they've got other videos of this, that they consider Rule 403's admonition, and that we not have to sit through that and on a late hour like this.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. So the objection will be noted.
Thank you.
All right, any response?
I only have one crime scene video.
All right, okay.
Well,
thank
then that solves the problem.
you. Okay, all right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I did warn him about this in the restroom. We both.
I'm not gonna say where.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, I set you up.
Yeah.
All right. So the defense
All right, and
asked
do you know if
asked to not show more crime scene videos of the victim deceased. Yeah, you only need to see that a couple of times.
We just went through all of it. Our objection would mirror Mr. Goldstein's. It appears that these photographs are still photographs, and every single thing that the video we just watched for 25 minutes documents. So under 403, I think it's cumulative. And I think it's a bit unusual to run the predicate for authenticating photographs with a CD full of those images. There are how many total photographs? So there's 139 photographs are being admitted through one exhibit number. That's problematic both for the record and 150 photographs being admitted through one exhibit number. And as to the other point Mr. Goldstein made, some of these photographs depict the corpse of the deceased and are of a morbid nature. There would be no additional probity to having still photographs of them, given that we've already admitted a videotape that documents all of the same subject matter.
And we have stipulated and acknowledged before the jury these facts that shows. It's not an issue of whether he was killed by bullet wound.
So you're stipulating that he was murdered?
Autopsy is correct. That he died of a gunshot wound. Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and you're stipulating that he died of a gunshot wound, and are you stipulating to the fact that it is the actual complainant that's listed in the indictment?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
yes, Your Honor.
All right, state.
So we've done enough.
All right, so state the defense is saying they're stipulating that the complainant named in the indictment is the deceased person, and they're stipulating that the deceased person died by a gunshot wound?
Yes, Your Honor, and we have no objection to them pointing out the stipulation to the jury.
All right, and are you, what else is being stipulated to in the indictment? Is there anything else being stipulated to in the indictment?
Isn't that enough?
Well, I mean, I was, you know, there's the firearm, there's the deadly weapon.
Right. But we'll stipulate there was one 9mm weapon taken from one of the co-defendants, that there was a 9mm. We believe that is correct. It's a 9mm spent shell casing. Here's what I'd like to do is just rather than prolong this, I'm just hoping that the state will agree that they don't need 150 pictures. The jury has seen 25 minutes of a video of the deceased. We've stipulated to that. This is huge.
All right, so it appears to the court that the state has photographs there.
Yeah, we do good. I'll look to try to accommodate their objection.
All right, and so state, would you be then withdrawing 32 and having actual photographs for the court to view?
Yes, sir.
All right, so they're going to withdraw state's exhibit number 32. If there are stipulations, if you all want to write up the stipulations.
Hey, Judge, sorry, yeah, I interrupted you, sorry.
No.
But yes, if they're stipulating to the fact that the person that is named in the indictment, Mark Salvador, was killed, we can write up a stipulation that could be signed by both parties and entered into evidence. That might curtail having to bring in.
150 photograph.
Well, not only that, but a medical examiner.
There might be other reasons for the medical examiner.
I will make sure as the oldest member of this group that we'll consider that.
Okay,
Because
well, we'll still bring him in.
As long as they're available. Yeah.
we will advise you next week.
Okay, so
I had hoped
so
we
just
would
one second, Cindy, we're off the record because now they're having a conversation.
Sorry, Judge.
That's
Yeah.
correct, John.
But
And it's hard for her
I'll
to
have a
keep up.
conversation with them later about that portion, and we'll go through these photos right now and determine if we want to present just a more limited number of photographs.
Yeah, and for our record, this is what happened when the prosecution and the defense respect each other, which we know that in from the YSL trial, the prosecution had no respect for the court, the judge, or the defense, or us, or the evidence, or anything.
And then we'll present that to them. If you, it'll just take us a minute or so.
All right, so you all are going to withdraw 32,
Yes, Judge.
and the defense has already agreed or have no objections to state's exhibit 25 through 31. On the record, I didn't admit that yet because I was waiting to see what happens with 32. So the photographs, no, we're not on the record. So the photographs to 32, I'm sorry, the video for 32, you have those in photograph form?
Well, 32 was a CD. We have actual like printed out that we can.
All right, so and are the photographs that you have that are the photographs that are the stills from 32, are you going to seek that through this witness?
It would be, yes.
All right, so if you all will look at the photographs and see if you can agree on the photographs that are going to be offered through this witness. If you can't, you know, you lay your foundation in front of the jury, the court will review it, and the court will make a decision. So if you all, defense, if you all want
I
to,
could just speak with Jason or.
Okay, sure. All right.
We might be stipulating off, but
All right, any objection to me letting the jurors know that I'm going to have them come back at 4:20 instead of 4 o'clock?
That's fine.
That'd be fine, Your Honor.
All right, so I'm going to go let them know. Because I don't.
Okay, now we can skip ahead a bit.
I guess,
I'll lay the
State you had previously offered states exhibits 25 through 31. There were no
Okay,
objections,
no,
right?
that's
correct, Your Honor.
So
that
states
sound.
exhibit 25 through 31 are admitted without objection. And with regards to 32 state,
Judge, we are withdrawing state exhibit number 32, identified as a CD, and instead we will offer still photos.
right, and that's still photos from the scene.
That's correct.
Any objection?
Well,
Well,
I guess,
I'll lay the
And
predicate.
and I'm sorry, what numbers was those be?
It would be 32, 33, and 34. And I'm gonna lay the predicate. Thank you, sorry. All right, Detective Flores, if you could take a look at what's been marked as state's exhibits number 32, 33, and 34, please.
Okay.
Okay, are those a fair and accurate depiction of the item that's depicted on the scene on the day of the offense?
Yes, ma'am.
And have these been altered in any way?
Okay.
Tendering to defense for inspection and offering state's exhibits 32 through 34 inclusive.
no objections.
All right, states exhibit 32, 33, and 34 are admitted without objection.
Permission to publish. Your Honor.
Granted.
Now, Detective Flores, I want you to take a look at state's exhibit number 25. Can you please explain to the jury what is depicted in state's exhibit number 25?
Yeah, so this,
Yeah, I'm going to skip to cross-examination.
so in the front is a barcode with the case number, Kimberly Wong's report.
089350.
Powder, and I know it's been
Asking you what connects up with your report of numbers, right?
placed some tape on that.
Okay, regarding state's exhibits 30, you personally,
Inside. So I observed onto the brush,
By people in law enforcement to fingerprint the object in question. That's all you're testifying to?
that and the fact that I've read Kimberly Wong's report.
I'm going to object to you asking or saying anything about that report, but something about that report is
To answer your
obvious.
question, yes, sir. I looked at the phone, I saw the powder, and I know it's been processed.
Okay, I'll withdraw my objection. I thought we were talking about something else. Thank you, sir.
All right, you may proceed.
thank you, Judge. And then regarding state's exhibit number 37, you have also had a chance to review it as you're looking at it. Is that correct?
Yes, I came into contact with this yesterday.
Okay, and it has, what does it have on it? That's a unique identifier.
The case number and Kimberly Wong's name and badge number.
Same objection, Your Honor. Hearsay confrontation.
Overrule.
All right, now regarding state exhibits 35 through 37 inclusive, these are all items of physical evidence.
How you know her, those things that are in the envelopes in front of you that
He's not in the United States,
okay. Is she no longer employed by the San Antonio Police Department?
to my knowledge, no.
Okay. So Ms. Wong is unavailable for all purposes as of the purposes of this trial. You'd agree with
To my
that?
knowledge, yes, sir.
Okay. And the information that you have testified to do today about regarding these objects in part is informed by a report that you read authored by Kim Wong, correct?
Ask that again.
The things you have testified to about these objects that are in the envelopes in front of you that the state has now offered, part of what you've been able to talk about regarding those objects is informed by what you've read in Kim Wong's report, correct?
Yes, that's correct. From the scene and what was collected from the scene,
And Kim Wong's report, correct?
which also connects with my report as well.
Okay, I'm not asking you what connects up with your report. I just would like you to answer my question, yes or no. Is part of what you've testified to here today informed by your review of Kimberly Wong's report?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you cannot speak to how Kimberly Wong collected these objects, right? For example, was Kimberly Wong gloved when she picked up the shell casing? Or did she do anything to the shell casing before putting it in the envelope? Those things are not documented in what you have prepared, right?
So I've worked with Kimberly Wong.
I'm going to ask you just yes or no. Do you have firsthand personal knowledge, visual observation of the exact things that Kimberly Wong did for those objects that are in front of you? Not what her reputation is or how you know her, those things.
So being able to view video from this case from Coban and body cam
Okay, so
I did observe
I'm
that.
going to object to non-responsive and ask that the jury disregard that answer, Your Honor.
That objection will be overruled.
All right. So, officer, what you're saying is it's only through looking at other things documented after the scene, some of which has not been put before the jury, some of which is not in evidence at the moment, that you are of the opinion that you can speak to whether or not Kimberly Wong collected these items in an appropriate way, right?
That's correct. I was able to refresh my memory.
Well,
looking at-
let's just be careful about that. You say refresh your memory. When you arrived at the scene, Kimberly Wong asked you to walk around with a camcorder and photograph the general layout of the crime scene, correct?
To record with the camcorder.
And that's what you were doing during that 25-minute period that we watched. You're behind the camcorder during all of that, correct?
That's correct. Mhm.
So it is not from your personal memory of what you personally physically saw that day that you can attest to what happened to get those objects in those brown paper bags, correct?
So I remember recording the scene.
I understand you remember recording the scene, but you'd agree with me, we don't see Kimberly Wong bagging these objects in your camera footage, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
I'm still wondering why this Kimberly Wong is not available for a capital murder trial. She is abroad. Okay. Why?
Your Honor, we would object that the predicate has not been appropriately laid, that the chain of custody has not been established. This individual is not the commencement of the chain of custody. And we have a confrontation right to the person who originated the chain of custody. All of the things that the state has put in evidence are before the commencement of the chain of custody and are not a substitute for it. We would object that this is not the correct witness to lay that foundation. And also hearsay confrontation to the extent that much of this is dependent upon hearsay in order to be attested to today. State?
Your Honor, this chain of custody has been established. There's been no evidence of tampering, fraud, or problems in the chain of custody. The evidence has been authenticated as being authentic under 901A, and it goes to weight and auditability.
We're not required to demonstrate that there is any evidence of tampering or impropriety in order to be able to stand on Mr. McIntyre's right to have the chain of custody properly authenticated and established by the witness at the beginning or the commencement of it. And so our objection still stands.
Judge, I have case law. We'd like to review it, but the chain of custody has been established. He has testified that he personally observed Kimberly Wong along with the state's exhibits that were previously introduced photos that are state's exhibit 25 through 31, which shows Kimberly Wong
Can I see state's exhibits?
working and seizing the evidence.
Your Honor, I can just cite from one particularly regrettable, memorable example because I lost the argument. I can cite the court to Russell versus State out of the Austin Court of Appeals for the premise that if there's going to be a confrontation issue with regard to chain of custody, it is at the commencement and the origin of the chain of custody. Ms. Wong is clearly, I don't think anyone's dispute here, the first person in this chain of custody. Everything this witness attests to is when this evidence is still on the ground, not in custody. I'm sorry, Your Honor. I think we were talking at the same time.
Objection overruled.
All right. Now, if you could please, oh, you have your gloves ready. Do you need scissors?
Please.
Yeah, I'm wondering why this.
Now, regarding 6 exhibit number 35, can you please open my?
So they are having a lot of other people coming in and testifying about what this Kimberly Wong did and didn't do. I'm not a fan. In my opinion, this should only happen if that person is deceased or unavailable. Now, if she's just abroad, what she's doing abroad.
And
Did she
if you could take a
move
look at it
abroad?
and see if
Why cannot she be, if she's abroad, why can't she be on Zoom? Zoom is available.
there's any unique identifiers on it.
Yes, there is.
What are they?
Kim Wong's initial KW with a badge 9440 on the inside of the cement showcase.
Same objections, Your Honor. Hearsay and confrontation.
Overruled.
Now, this is the defense just saving it for appeal.
All right, you can go ahead and put that back. Yeah. And then please exhibit number 36, please. hear what,
Does, it has, initials KW 94.
Okay, so this wasn't cross-examination?
After you submitted the videotape to Ms. Wong,
And
Oh,
will you,
as to how those things were processed, we would during the course of your E3
Yes,
or
sir.
Ms. Andrews.
Kimberly Wong.
Okay, you're not referring to Ms. Andrews, E1, E2, and E3.
This is, Kimberly Wong's E1, E2, E3.
Okay. And were you aware of the fact that there may be other E1s, E2s, and E3s in this case?
If there was, I'm referring to Kimberly Wong's E1, E2, E3.
Okay.
If I may,
But thank you, officer. I appreciate it. When you arrived, Ms. Wong and Ms. Andrews were both already present at the scene. Is that correct?
I know Kimberly Wong was, I don't recall of what time, if Andrews got there before or after.
Okay. And you're referring to something during my questioning. Is that your report or Ms. Wong's report?
Which answer?
You were reading something during my last question. Is that Ms. Wong's report or yours?
This is my report.
Okay. When you document the baggie of marijuana on that video that we watched earlier, it appears to be in very close proximity to the body. Would you agree?
Yes, sir.
Would it surprise you to learn that Ms. Andrews documented that marijuana to be much further from the body, about equidistant on the other side of the deceased's head from where the shell casing was found?
You asked me, am I surprised?
Would that surprise you?
I saw the bag close to the body, and that's what I saw.
Okay.
I don't know.
You never saw during the course of your work documenting the scene anyone move the bag of marijuana?
I only saw it when the medical examiner arrived and began her investigation. That's when I first saw it.
And the body was rolled. You see that on the footage? That's when you saw it?
That's when I saw it, and which was on my video.
Okay. Did you have any other involvement in this case after you submitted the videotape to Ms. Wong?
So once I turned in the video, I don't recall any other involvement in the case.
You weren't responsible for processing or handling any of the objects of evidence that the state has introduced through you today?
That's correct. Besides the video, at the scene, no. I didn't process any evidence.
As to how those things were processed, we would need to ask Ms. Wong, right?
That's not my call. That's,
As far as you know, Ms. Wong's the one who did the processing of these objects.
yes, that's fair.
I'll pass the witness.
I have no further.
All right, Qatar's approach.
and we have a sidebar. Sidebar counter 8. 8 in 2 days. No, 3 days. Sorry. This is day 3.
State you had previously offered what numbers?
635 through 37.
All right, and defense, your objections are noted. States Exhibit 35, 36, and 37 are admitted. Is this witness excused or subject for recall?
By the state.
Excused by the defense.
All right, the rule has been invoked. You're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone as long as this trial continues. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, if you'll remove the microphone and you may step down.
Thank you.
Thank you. State, call your next witness.
State calls Gabriel Bias.
Okay, next witness. Still, this is a fast-moving trial. This is absolutely a fast-moving trial.
All right, can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so that members of the jury can hear. And if you'll state your name for the record and spell your last name, please.
Gabriel Baez. Last name is Baez.
All right, state, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Bias, can you, well, let me just ask you some questions. How long have you lived in San Antonio, sir?
Just outside of San Antonio, quite a while, about maybe 15 years.
Right, and I'm gonna go ahead, this is late in the day. I'm gonna go ahead and jump right in and ask you, on April 23rd, 2017, were you in the parking lot near Jason's Deli and Chick-fil-A?
Yes.
If you could just speak up into the microphone.
Yeah, of course.
Because people just need to hear you, okay? And will you please tell me, when you were in that parking lot, did you observe anything unusual in the parking lot when you were standing there?
Initially, no.
Then after you were standing there for an amount of time, whatever it may be, did you see anything that caught your eye?
No.
So did you see anything that day in that parking lot?
After hearing
Okay.
a noise and
Well, let me stop you. You said you heard a noise. What noise did you hear?
sounded like a gunshot or a loud bang.
And can you tell the jury, were you inside a building? Were you inside a car? You were outside of a car or outside of the building? Where were you?
Outside of my car, outside of a building, shopping center.
And what was the, if you can remember, what was the closest establishment that you were to?
We came out of a Jason's Deli, and right next to it was like a fabric store and a Chick-fil-A, I think.
So I'm assuming if you came out of Jason's Deli.
So this is another eyewitness testimony. Let's see what he saw, and if he saw something completely new, because every eyewitness testimony so far does not corroborate each other's story, other than that somebody got on the hood of the car and then he was killed.
You had eaten or picked up food?
Yes.
And you say we, was there anybody else with you?
My wife and my old star.
And when you heard this big bang, it caught your attention. And you said bang, or did you say what else it could sound like?
Like maybe like a like a tire, kind of like a blowout, just a loud kind of echoing bang. But we were right off the highway, so.
And after that big bang, did you observe any thing happen after that?
I would say kind of like right after, not initially, but a car kind of zipping through the parking lot where we were in, and then just kind of leaving.
And you're saying zipping through the parking lot. Can you define that to the jury? Was it moving fast or
Yeah, it was moving fast. It wasn't a normal cruise through the parking lot.
And can tell the jury, was it daylight or was it nighttime?
It was daytime. Don't remember the exact time, but it was after we got done eating. So.
And when you observed this vehicle going through the parking lot, was it, I guess, coming towards you or away from you?
It was coming towards us, but then kind of quickly turned away towards the exit of the main road.
And while observing this vehicle zip through the parking lot, did you observe anything about the vehicle or the occupants or anything?
It was really quick, so I wasn't able to really pay a whole lot of attention. Kind of focusing on myself and my family. I guess if you kind of explain a little bit more, or if you want to go into more detail.
I mean, it's just what you can remember. I know this was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I just want the jury to understand what you saw that day. And I'm just going to ask you questions and just answer the best as you can. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: did you ever collect something from that parking lot that day?
Yeah. I was gonna.
Let me ask you this: where did that object come from?
Yeah. So I'm going to elaborate. As a car was kind of going through the parking lot, kind of like in the quick moment, I noticed what looked like a phone, something shiny, square, kind of tumbling and hitting the ground, kind of right after that car was leaving that area.
And so, did you observe that phone coming from that vehicle?
Yeah, I mean, it came, just kind of shortly from that turn, in that little area. It didn't look like it was something being ran over. It looked like something coming out of the car.
If you could you determine what side of the vehicle it came from?
I want to say it came from like the driver's side. Don't know specifically which.
Did you talk to police about this?
Yeah, I talked about it for a couple of minutes.
When the police showed up?
Yes.
And let me ask, you collected this way, you determined that did you find out it was a phone?
Yeah, after I got my family in the car and we were kind of debating on what we should do, because of the whole situation, and then we thought, well, let's go see what that was, and then that's when I walked up to it, saw that it was a phone, and then I walked around that Chick-fil-A parking lot because I started noticing people heading towards the other side of the building. So yeah, I noticed it was a phone, and I didn't know what to really do at the moment. So we kind of like waited, and then I decided to just go grab a towel and pick it up in case someone found it or didn't see it.
Okay, well, let me show you what's been marked stated number 36, state exhibit number 36.
Yeah, again, I'm skipping to cross-examination.
This car kind of leave the area.
The car that threw the phone?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then I see a circle over here with it looks circle over
The general area kind of seeing, the crime scene and
witness the body.
yes,
Okay. You mind, that's all right. At this time, Your Honor, the state would offer state exhibit number 38 and 39 and the evidence. What's in the defense for any objections?
no objections.
Yes. State exhibit number 38 that you stated earlier, that is you holding. And this,
We're getting to the crime.
and then that's when you observe, what does this line here indicate? Thank you.
Saw a woman throw the phone out of the car?
I didn't see anyone specific.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
All right, any further questions?
Wait a minute, what that?
You,
At this time, Your Honor, we'll pass the witness.
All right, defense.
thank you, Your Honor. You saw a woman throw the phone out of the car?
I didn't see anyone specific.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll pass the witness.
All right, any further questions?
No more questions, please release.
Is this witness excused?
Yes, please.
All right, the rule has been invoked. That means you're not allowed to discuss your testimony
Okay.
with anyone.
Next witness.
That's to your left. The square.
The square.
No.
I'm sorry.
Right there. On the.
Oh, got it.
Yes.
Sorry.
No problem. Could you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so members of the jury can hear. If you'll state your name for the record and spell your last name, please.
Dan Aiken, last name's A-K-I-N,
State you may proceed.
Mr. Aiken, how old are you currently?
69,
What city do you currently live in?
San Antonio,
How long have you lived in San
20 years.
Antonio? And did you go to school here in San Antonio?
No, ma'am.
Where'd you go to school?
San Marcos High School.
And how are you currently employed?
I am a independent contractor with Chick-fil-A, operator owner.
And do you own and operate the Chick-fil-A located at 27 Northeast Loop 410, San Antonio, Texas?
Okay, so this is the owner of Chick-fil-A.
And now I want to turn your attention to April 23rd of 2017. Were you made aware of an incident that occurred in the parking lot of the Chick-fil-A?
Yes, I was.
And when you learned of this incident, what did you do?
I immediately came up to the restaurant.
And were you able to observe the scene upon arrival?
Yes,
Did you speak with officers on that day?
yes, I did.
And was your Chick-fil-A at the time equipped with security cameras?
Yes,
Can you please describe to the jury what kind of cameras you had at the time?
they were digital cameras located at various locations on site.
And some of the cameras, they had a fish bowl view, is that correct?
Could you repeat that?
They were like a fish bowl or fish eye
Yes,
view.
yes. I think there were two at that time.
And in fact, when you appeared on scene, you had your MacBook with you, is that correct?
That is correct.
And the officers allowed you to enter your establishment?
That is correct.
And you were able to pull up your security camera and begin looking for relevant video, is that correct?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. Every question has been leading.
All right, that objection will be sustained as to the last question.
Did you find any relevant video?
Yes.
Uh, All right. Now I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 40. I'm going to take it out of its white envelope. That way you're able to see it. Do you recognize what this is?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And does that have what is it?
It's a CD-ROM disc.
And have you had a chance to view what is contained on that disc?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And what does the disc contain?
It contains various videos from that day that were deemed pertinent.
Okay. And that's what you turned over. Those videos that are contained on the disc is what you turned over to San Antonio Police Department?
Yes,
Okay. And do you have any identifying marks on State's Exhibit number 40?
yes. I signed my name and dated it September 20th, 2024.
And is that how you are able to ensure that this is the same video that you turned over to SAPD?
Yes,
Okay. Now, regarding this recording, was it prepared on a device that was capable of making accurate visual recordings?
yes,
And did you find your system at the time, your security system, to be reliable and accurate and fairly depict the location?
yes.
Okay. And to your knowledge, well, has this been altered in any way?
To my knowledge, no.
Okay. And you viewed it, and it was the same videos that you gave to the police department?
Yes,
okay?
they were. Yes, they
Okay.
were.
And on the date and on April 23rd, 2017, you were competent to operate that system, correct?
Yes,
All right. And the recording, was it made at or near the time of the offense?
What was that question again? I'm sorry.
Well, the video that's contained that captured the offense, correct?
Yes.
And it was live recording as it occurred?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it was recording as it occurred.
Thank you. I'm tendering to defense for inspection. The state offers State's Exhibit 3.
No objections, Your Honor.
State's Exhibit number 40 is admitted without objection. Granted.
Okay. So what was the other videos? I thought those were from the Chick-fil-A. But now all of a sudden it's okay. This trial is so confusing. Yeah, now they are watching it, and again, the on the other channel that has cameras, they are not showing it
Mr.
either.
Egan, what is shown on the screen? Can you tell the jury where that camera is located?
It is on the northeast corner of our restaurant building, the back corner, facing Cons and K&G Superstore.
Thank you. And just to clarify, the view that we're looking at right now, is that a fisheye view camera?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and on the left side of the video, that's the parking lot going towards the shopping center.
Yes.
And on the right side of the video, that's towards 410.
Right side, I think that was, let me look at the bigger picture. I think that is where TGI Fridays used to be.
Okay, if you take a look at the video,
Oh, I can see the access road. You're
okay,
correct.
thank you.
Thank you.
And just for the record, since the recording is paused at 1 minute and 40 seconds. Rotating the video for.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to them manipulating the video. There's been no predicate laid that that's not something native to the program. I don't think it's being us to sponsor that.
Judge is not manipulating the video, it's using the viewer to look at it in a different manner because it's oriented sideways.
That would be the testimony of the prosecutor. I think they need to have someone explain whether, like how that works.
All right, that objection is overruled.
Your Honor, I guess just so that the written record is clear, the prosecutor has opened up a dialogue window within the application that's running the video and has gone through a series of menu selections to reach what appears to be a digital representation of a dial, almost like a rotary phone instrument, and has now moved the angle of the image. And as long as counsel doesn't disagree with that recitation of it, I'd just like the record to show that the exhibit and the file folder within the exhibit has been altered by the prosecutor in the course of this through the computer program.
All right, State, with regards to the defense's recitation, has this video changed in the fact that the view is changed, or if has the contents been
The
changed?
content has not been changed at all. It is the same video that was just authenticated by this witness that was provided to San Antonio Police Department. The only thing that has been changed is that it has been oriented by the angle so that the jury can have a clearer view of what is occurring in the exhibit, but the contents are not the same, are not altered in any way.
And Your Honor, I would just object again to the prosecutor testifying to that fact. I'm just want the record to reflect visually.
All right, objection is overruled, and the record will reflect.
So the prosecutor is changing the angle of the video so that the jury will see it better. Well, now it's no longer reflecting what was actually shown. because what's the difference between this and an inverted?
What it reflects from defense counsel.
Thank you, Josh.
You're welcome.
I am fast forwarding to 40 to 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Camera view, those things that are recorded. Where is this camera located, Mr. Egan?
It is on the other back corner of the building facing the shopping strip mall.
Just tell us where this camera is located.
This camera was on a pole facing back towards that very first camera, fisheye camera we looked at. TGI Fridays, it's near TGI Fridays or where it was before.
What program, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Just real quick, when you opened your MacBook to give the police the video, what program does your computer use to have the video on?
It's okay. So I'd log on to like Safari, the web browser, and then I'd go to a program called Envision, which you saw the title, for each one of these, you saw the title for that company. And that's our video provider
Okay.
for our business.
They store it on a cloud, I guess?
There is cloud storage, but there's also, what do you call it, DVR? So there is some amount of DVR storage and then it goes to the cloud.
Okay, understood. since this was so fresh, it was on DVR, not cloud?
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
But you're not using VLC to look at the video on your computer or in your ordinary practice at the business, right?
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with VLC. Probably I should be, but I don't know.
Safe to say you're not using VLC in your business.
Okay,
Okay.
I would assume that's correct because I don't know what it is.
Fair enough. Pass the witness.
No further questions. Excuse my state.
Is he excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, the rule has been invoked. You're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone as long as this child continues. You can leave that, yes,
Okay,
and you're
thank you.
excused. Thank you so much.
I sure appreciate y'all.
Oops.
No problem. State, call your next witness.
Judge, that's, we don't have any other witnesses for today.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, the state does not have any more witnesses for the day, but they have not rested their case yet. I'm gonna have y'all come back tomorrow and we will start in the morning tomorrow. I don't expect other jurors to be called up, so you should be able to have parking space. We can go off the record, Cindy, but somebody did tell me there is a lot of activity happening downtown tomorrow, which I didn't know about. So plan accordingly. But what I'll do with you all, instead of starting at 9, is everyone okay with starting at 9:15? So that'll give everybody a chance to park and everything. So we'll start at 9:15. Again, if you want to bring breakfast or anything else, there's room for it in the jury room. Remember my previous instructions. You're not allowed to view anything about this case. You're not allowed to have people talk to you about this case. If somebody tries to talk to you about this case, let them know. You're not allowed to listen. If you see anything, just ignore it. You're not allowed to start deliberating internally with yourself or with each other, and no investigation. Does everyone understand? All right, so I will see you all back here tomorrow at 9:15. And as always, just meet in the jury room. All right, everyone, please rise for the jurors.
All right, and
Cindy, you haven't shut down. Okay, don't shut it down yet. Could I have attorney's approach, please?
oh no. And we end with a sidebar. Making this sidebar number 9. Oh, okay, folks. That was second half of day 2 and the entirety of day 3. The trial day 4 is ongoing, but I need a break, a food break and a rest break and a coffee break. So I will set up a new stream for in like an hour and a half from now, and then we will check out day 4, and maybe we will catch up. So on Monday we will be actually live finally. And the stream of day 4 may or may not include some alcoholic beverages. But that was day 2. I just can't get my heads and tails around this, because there's a crucial witness completely missing from the prosecution. That the person who actually collected and then apparently tested. And apparently that is the person who could not see that a 9mm casing was, she thought the 9mm casing was a 40 caliber casing. Yeah, I can't make heads. And eyewitness testimony about people who clearly saw different things and different people and different actions. People who were, the claims from one of them was, I was just that far away. But then when we saw the the bird's eye view of the things, she couldn't have been that close, because it was car was on a separate line and she was in a parking lot. So yeah, but I will return with more of this trial in about an hour and a half. Everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to do this. Thank you to Kelly for your $5 super chat. Thank you to Phoenix for being a member for 11 months. And thank you to Derek Crosson for your £3 super sticker. Thank you so much. I will see you back here in about an hour and a half. Okay? See ya. Bye-bye.
Sail the raven waves, brothers. Axes high, shield strong. From distant lands we gather, hearts of fire all along. Oh, big Nick calls we follow, through the storm and through the fight. For Valhalla we will borrow strength and might under moonlight. Warriors of the ancient sea, songs of glory dark and bold. In the night, our spirits free, legends born, tales unfold. Oh, big because we follow, through the storm and through the fight. For Valhalla we will borrow strength and might under moonlight. From horizons wild we roam, with thunder in our soul. Every battle brings us home to the stories ages told. Oh, big Nick calls we follow, through the storm and through